Hi friends, good evening, and this is your host Ankit joining you from Delhi, India, and welcome to IBMTV. We have Kimberly Calhoun joining us from North Carolina. We have Nick Palaveda joining us from North Carolina, United States of America. Good morning to US, good morning to the world, and welcome to Startups Wednesday only on IBMTV. Today's show is 1/1/16th, every day since 8th of March. So that's what we have for you, and we have a great lineup. Starting from Divya joining from Bangalore, talking about COVID-19 test kits, and then we have Scott from USA talking about interesting wire cable and what are the wiring technology we have. After that, we have a special show on Chengdu, China, and after that we have everyone's favorite payment show with Ketul, and then we will sign off early today, and then we have investing with Shah at 1 p.m. So that's the lineup for the day.
Wow. And are we doing Chengdu, China at noon also today? Okay, all right. Let's.
So Chengdu's ready? Like
I don't know. I don't know. Did Vivian get an invite?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. We'll know at noon, I guess.
He's joining at 12 noon actually.
Okay, well let's invite Mr. Startup Willie Hill, arriving from Australia. Good day, mate.
Good day.
Hey, mate.
Good day, mate. How we doing down in Melbourne, mate?
We're good. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're good. Startup-wise, we're not good with the COVID-19. We in our second lockdown because the numbers just started increasing. So the Premier of the state has decided that we need to go into a second lockdown. So that's where we are at the moment.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. So the coronavirus is still affecting Australia then, mate?
Just our state.
Oh, really? Just
more
your
than
state?
the others, yeah.
And what state is that? Is that
Victoria?
Victoria. Okay, right.
Victoria.
Not New South Wales.
So now the others don't want any visitors from Victoria.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to your neighbor to the north. We'll move to Hong Kong. Rakesh, neighbor to the north in Hong Kong. How are the coronavirus affecting you guys in Hong Kong?
We're not so worried about the virus now. We're just looking at all sorts of other things. You know what I'm talking about.
Good morning, Ricky.
Like no economy, nothing good going on. Well, let's
didn't figure it out. So they're doing fine, never shut down, but the rest of us never figured it out. So how can they survive if they don't survive?
No,
all right.
This is an important date, so we're just sort of. Yeah.
What makes July 1st an important day?
It's the day when the British handed over Hong Kong to China.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Okay, so today's a very important
Independence Day
in Hong Kong. It's sort of Independence Day, or sort of not Independence Day. It's sort of. We don't know what time it is.
I'm not getting into that.
No, we don't get
happy non-whatever day. But let's talk about something more important today. Here's this is not. Hold on just a minute. I'm going to show how this changes here. Just watch this. This was last week. We're going to update it to see how many coronaviruses. So we have 10,629,000 today. Nick, you were right. Over 500,000 deaths by the end of June.
Yeah, but I think that's worldwide, though.
Yeah, it is. It is, but still an accurate estimate because you made that estimate. We were talking about this, and this estimate was made like in March. Yeah. So
we're at 130,000 deaths in the United States. Wow.
Right. So, but if you look, one, we're tremendously increasing. Right now, new cases. I'm not quite sure. I don't think the death rates were as high in Russia. They seem to be very, very high. I think our death rates have reduced, even though our infected rates have increased. I think that just means we've learned how to better treat the situation.
That seems to be what's going on.
Early detection, early treatment. We're testing more. If you take a look at the testing, I don't think that we've tested per 1 million. We've done 103,000. So I don't even think we've maximized the amount of testing that we should be doing. We've tested over 34 million. But in other India as well has seen a flare up. I think Hong Kong, even though they might have a little bit, Australia might have a little bit, they're still not listed in the top 10.
Yeah.
But that's not where you want to be. You do not want to be in the top 10, right?
Yep.
I tell people. But anyway, so that's, where we are. I spoke with someone who works for the health department of North Carolina over last week. And our conversation was about the lack of PPE and things like that, because, and they admitted that there's not enough. It's very difficult to get it into the United States, let alone into the state of North Carolina. But they have worked very hard to deliver some to some of the doctors who really pushed, said we really have to have it with it because their front line was just struggling. So they're still struggling with the need of PPE and test kits. They don't have enough test kits. And but yeah, it's going to go up. And if we look at the statistics from, past viruses, like the 1918, which took over killed over an estimated 50 million people worldwide. Yeah, we're ahead of the game there. I hope we're a little bit smarter. But where we're not smarter is what it took to slow the wildfire down. And that was everyone wore masks back then. I did my homework over the weekend. And that's what I discovered. I was doing a lot of research to go, well, nobody wants to wear a mask. I knew that masks became the thing because of the flu in 1918. And what I learned is everyone that worked, everyone that was even swept the streets wore masks. Barbers wore masks. Everybody wore their mask. Everybody did their due diligence to respect other people. And it was to prevent the spread, not to protect you, but to prevent the spread. So I think that, people got a little arrogant over all of these years because they think they're educated. They know better, but nobody's looking at history. And nobody's looking at what worked.
Yep. So let's bring in some of our expert chess players from Silicon Valley. We have Jim Eade, the United States Socialist Republic of Silicon Valley, and from Toronto, Canada, we will bring in Sasha Starr and see what's happening in your neck of the woods. Mr. Jim Eade, how's coronavirus?
Well, first I want to extend my condolences to Rakesh. I think this is one of those.
Did he die?
Pardon?
No, wait, he's right down there. Okay,
He's right down there.
Right.
No, but it's one of those mixed days like Passover, where July 1st is going to be a confusing holiday in the future. But the COVID virus here, Governor Newsom has increased the shutdown procedures, so we're still sheltering in place. People are still wearing masks, at least when I'm out and about. And we're taking it very seriously because we tried the gentle opening up, and we saw a spike. So now we're back down to probably a little bit more careful than we were.
Right. And Alexander Starr, I see you're drinking your vodka this morning. So maybe you have the coronavirus solution. How's coronavirus in the great country of Canada, the world's second largest by way of geography?
Yeah. Well, first of all, today, July 1st, and it's Canada Day. This is a day where Canadians celebrate their independence and their republic. For all things considered, Canada does remarkably well on the world stage, considering it's a small nation of only 36 million, relatively small, 36 million people, with a gigantic territory, and it remains supposedly very dependent on the United States. However, it was able to forge relationships in the European Union and the Pacific Rim countries and Australia and many others. And there is no real dependency on the United States as we speak. Yes, United States is a big trading partner, But the trade it's a two-way street. It has to be good for the United States just as well as for Canada. If it's not, then nobody needs that trade. So far, it works despite of all attempts of someone to destabilize it and maybe even kill it. It didn't work out, and so far everything is.
I wonder who that could be. Okay.
Yeah, not that
I don't have a clue, really.
You know what? I have to find out.
It wasn't in our history books.
Not a clue. I didn't see the history books, but it seems like you and Canada now. Sasha needs big countries. So goes from Russia to Canada. You know, he needs those wide open spaces.
But you know what? Actually, speaking of geography, Canada has a lot of similarity with Russia. In each way, that they're both enormously vast countries. But you see, in Canada, obviously, because of the climate, so all people, 99.99%, live on 49th parallel. So all the wonderful cities like whether it's Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, and all others, they're on 49th parallel, because if you're going farther north, it's becoming very uncomfortable. It's just bloody cold there. Nothing but cold. So who wants to live in cold? Nobody wants. So you see, the Russian communists, they invented so-called cities where people would live in minus 50 Celsius degrees in miserable conditions, but they would be paid double salaries. Now, you know what a Russian salary, so even if you pay double or triple or whatever it might be, but you'll die in a year and a half, it's not a great deal for you, probably. But anyway, so they built some cities like Norilsk, for example, and some others, and they have a great natural resources, but it's not a great pleasure to be there. And also one observation, one journalist was flying from Tokyo to Moscow, non-stop flight. So when he was flying over Japan, so there were city after city and lights and highways and whatever you might call. Once it crossed Russian territory, for 6 hours, there is nothing. It's just nothing.
It's worse than Australia, mate. You know. Now, speaking of mate, we have our guest has arrived, so it's now time for the sharks to meet our guest. Let's bring our guest in. There we go. It's Divya.
Hi, Divya. Good evening.
Divya.
How are you doing?
Hi. Good evening. We are doing very good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Welcome to the Shark Tank. Welcome to the tank. Welcome to IBMTV. Okay.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Okay. Well, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what do you do?
I'm Divya. I'm basically an entrepreneur, a startup owner. I have a company which is into clinical research. We do conduct trials on pharmaceutical, nutraceuticals, maybe vaccines, all the human studies we do give a result. After that, any products goes to market. There's one thing, and I also have a nutraceutical manufacturing unit where we manufacture vitamins, minerals, and export it to countries like Europe and US. Basically, I'm an entrepreneur, businesswoman, and also my degree is MSc in biosciences. So I'm also partly a scientist in clinical research.
And what city are you out of?
Bangalore, India.
Bangalore, India. Okay,
Yeah,
so you're next door to Ankit over there, right?
Yeah.
You're right down the street. You guys know each other, eh?
Yes.
That. Okay, so the thing is, Willie Hill is our startup expert over there. Okay. So he runs I think Startup Australia in Europe and has like 20,000 followers or something like that. Ankit over there has about 1.3 billion followers. And the rest of us,
that's great.
Yeah, the rest of us are relatively unimportant. Okay.
No.
So, Divya, explain to us a little bit about the clinical trials that you work on. If you can move your camera a little bit so we can see your face a little bit better. You're so beautiful.
Yeah, move it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're getting the ceiling. There we go.
And I'm so honored
to be
that's better. With a fellow woman entrepreneur. It's not very often that we get to do that. And we are starting a special for women entrepreneurs. So maybe you'll come and join us there. But
sure, definitely.
what you're doing in the clinical trials and some of the things that you're expanding on during this day and time.
Okay. See, currently what we do in the clinical trials is we do recruit patients. For example, you have a vaccine, you need to try it on patients or healthy volunteers and see how it works, how efficacious the drug is, how safety it is for human use. So this is what we have been doing. But right now, due to COVID and coronavirus, most of the hospitals, private hospitals, have all shut down in India. Very few private hospitals have started opening up, and the patients inflow is very less, so there's a quite shortfall in the clinical research business. We look at it in a other way, it's good people are not going to hospitals, and not it's a good sign. But where it comes to a business point of view, we had agreed a lot of studies for US, Europe. We had quite agreements which we had signed, but due to this COVID virus, COVID attack, or coronavirus effect, which we all are having, we had to cut down the studies, and we have to start trying to do something else. So that's where I came up with a COVID testing kit, viral RNA extraction kit, which was developed by our own company. So we all have to deviate from the business, what business currently we are. And that's what we observed. So many people were doing so many things, and they started selling this masks, sanitizers, and all those things. So masks and sanitizers are all became, everybody was started doing that. So we wanted to do something different in this COVID situation. That's where we came up with testing kits, viral RNA testing kits. The Chief Minister of Karnataka launched the kit, and we are getting very good inquiries from diagnostic laboratories and hospitals which we are doing COVID tests. So that's how we switched over business immediately when we found there's something challenging at this point of time.
So they've actually physically manufactured in your facilities, or are you dispatching manufacture in other facilities? How is this coming about? How are you packaging it? Just so people can understand what you're doing, and are you raising money for the business? Is this your company? Those kind of things.
Yeah, this was developed by our own company. We are not doing in anyone's facility. We had already a facility, which is a clean room facility. We have manufacturing over there itself, and we got the ICMR of approval, Indian Council of Medical Research. This is a body which approves any medical device or anything which comes to the market. ICMR is the body, DCGI, which is related to the DCGI. We got approval in our name, and we are doing it ourselves. We are not giving it to any third party manufacturing or something, so that we have a control over deliverables to the clients or the buyers or the hospitals, and we can do things better.
So how much are you manufacturing at a time right now? And is distribution beginning? Has it, what are the outbound? What's the outbound for this?
Yeah, currently we are manufacturing in few thousands actually, but our capacity, we have increased to lakhs. We have procured raw materials which can serve for lakhs. As we just launched 1 week back, we got orders of few thousands which we are manufacturing, and we are able to deliver it. And we have in the pipeline many more thousands, and it may reach 1 or 2 lakhs in another 1 to 2 months. The inquiry, definitely we'll be doing good with those things. And with respect to clinical research, we were doing studies in big hospitals. Now we are collaborating with small clinics or nursing homes type of hospital setup, where we can get few patients in and around that area. Definitely if they have some small issues, they definitely go to that. So that way the studies which we were on hold, we continue doing that. This how I compare it with is like when the big malls were all shut down all over the world, that small shops are the one who got the business. It's something like that. When the big hospitals are all shut down, we are conducting studies in small nursing homes and small setups, where one hospital, one doctor, one nurse will be there in a smaller setup and trying to complete the projects this way.
Okay, so
basically
itself, go ahead. Well, let me ask this one question, then I'll. How long is the return for the test result?
This will be actually at least 24 hours.
Wow. Okay. 20. So it's clinically taken and then clinically ran through a test process.
Yeah.
It's analysis. So it's not something that can be done at home at this time.
See, there are two types of testing. One is rapid testing, antigen antibody testing. In this testing, what ICMR has told, even though if you do a rapid testing, you have to do a RT-PCR testing because of the false results. And rapid test results, you may get positive due to other viral infection also. Your immunoglobulins level may increase to different reasons. That doesn't mean you have a COVID. So false positive, false negatives. So RT-PCR is the gold standard, which ICMR has seen, which every COVID testing center has to follow. So people are taking 2 days to give the results, but actually we can do it in 24 hours. It's a procedure where you have to centrifuge it, lyse it. There's a lot of procedure involved in it. So it definitely in 2 days the patient is getting in hand the result.
Wow. Okay. So, but 24 hours is excellent. Is this something that you would be interested in the business? And I know Ankit's got a question. I'm going to let other people talk. I'm sorry, but it's something I'm very interested in. Is this something that you would be interested in collaborating with other people in other countries and help us to open up labs in other countries?
Definitely, we would be interested to do that.
Okay,
this will help. This will help. There's a lot of cases around, and there will be a lot of requirement of these kind of tests and kits. Definitely, we would be able to serve it in better way with better quality and more economical way.
One of the ideas I have, because I serve on 2 university board of advisors. And one of the things I had wanted to see happen was the utilization of university laboratories, because there are a lot of universities all over the country. We could, and a lot of the schools are shut down. And I thought that we could take something like what you're doing, and because it still has to be clinically done, and run the test in the university labs. This would give students an opportunity to work and do, and gain real life.
Definitely. See, this is not a rocket science.
Right. And it would expand and broaden the ability to isolate the situation quickly. Because, a lot of people don't remember, but in 1918, the flu worldwide estimatedly killed 50 million people.
Correct.
Before they could get control over it. You would think we would be smarter by now, but sometimes over time, I think we deaden our sensibilities. But I'm sorry, and you know what, Ankit, I need for you to take it. I mean, I'm impressed. So
that's all right.
I might have taken your question. Anybody else have questions for us? And I want to know how many I can start ordering right now. But
I know I'm so impressed, and I don't know if this term is used in India, but I think you really have demonstrated business chops and scientific chops. And what I mean is that you really know your stuff. You come across like you really know your stuff. Are you ever have trouble being taken seriously because you're a woman and because people don't necessarily associate you as someone who looks like you with someone who is as intelligent and accomplished as you are?
Yeah, see, when it comes to some cities, I think Bangalore as such, there's no differentiation between women and men or something like that. Maybe some remote areas still there's a perception man can always do better. That may be there. But in Bangalore, we don't face that kind of issues. And definitely the age may be the factor, because if you have a bald head and if you have a gray hair, people, okay, fine, he knows very well. Yes, enough experience. Bald hairs and gray hairs makes much more better business than a nice looking young woman.
But you know what? Don't let that bully you into getting gray hair, because when you get gray hair, they go, "Oh, you're too old."
That's right. You got no window.
This is
you're too young or you're too old. There's no window in between.
But sometimes what happens in India, if you have a couple of gray hairs, you'll get some more profit as compared to the black hair people, because gray hairs means more experience, and then you can get
more experience. Yeah.
And in America, it means you're too old. So anyone from America will tell you that. Well,
and we're going to get back to your business and your fascinating business. But I think that the name Divya is a common female name in where you're from. Is that not correct?
Yes, absolutely correct.
And so it's more or less unusual here. And I have my spiritual advisor is also named Divya, and I have my idea of what it actually means. But could you tell me what you think it means?
I didn't get your question. Can you
what
please
does your name mean?
Divya.
Does your name have a meaning?
It's my name means divinity, purity. It's something real. It's a power. My name means power.
That's right. Very good. I just wanted to draw that out before we got too far.
No. So we have a spiritual channel here on IBMTV, and we've been learning about all of these spiritual applications, which I feel like have a very powerful impact in some of our lives. It's just inevitable, but very lovely. So talk a little bit about your background. Let's now that we have you on the show, let's talk about your background. How did you get into doing what you do? Because not many women do this. At least not in America. So
let me just give you a brief background about myself. When I started my studies, I was very much keen. I want to become an entrepreneur, and I want to be in business. That's what even during my schooling and studying was in my head too much. And that was an era where IT was in the boom and the peak. If you ask anybody in India or especially in Bangalore, what do you want to become? They want to become an engineer. Everybody wanted to become engineer because engineers mean they travel abroad, they have nice packages, and they get good goodies, and they have a very good lifestyle. That's what was the trend when I was studying. And then I understood I have to do something different than what everybody is doing around. So I want to do something different, and I loved science a lot. At the same time, I didn't want to be a lab person, being wearing a coat and being inside the lab doing stuff. At the same time, that's what I thought is I want to study science and I want to get into business. This is what I thought. And I did my master's in MSc in biochemistry. And I joined a company, a clinical research company, and which I started things from. It was a startup company where there were 2 people or 3 people working, and I got a lot of business to them. I did extensive networking, marketing for the company, and they got a lot of growth in just 1 or 2 years since I joined, and they made a lot of money out of me. Then I realized if I can work for someone and make them grow rich, why can't I work for myself and grow myself? And that was and my ambition was to become an entrepreneur. So it was again I joined another company for another 1 year. That year was completely planning for my company, which I had to start. So when I joined the second company, parallelly I start planning, registering my company, doing all the background things, checking out who may give me business in case I leave this job and come out, making a thorough research on that. And once I got a good clarity, yes, I can do. And when I got 2-3 projects, when I was already working in some other company, I got 2-3 projects to the company I registered. Immediately, I left the company and I started this. And we are doing good. We have completed more than 50 plus clinical research work. We have served the different countries, Southeast Asian market, US market, Indian market, European market. We are able to do that with this. So this is what my background is. And at the same time, we started with one more. When I was doing clinical research, service is not just enough. We want to get into product industry. That's where we started the nutraceutical business, where we started manufacturing things and exporting. So after the product was fine and all these things were getting settled, now I felt it's COVID time. Okay, it's everything is going down. Let me do something what is people need right now. That's why we came up with the idea of testing kits. So I am just tweaking myself according to the situation and the current need. Yeah, this
Which
is a
is
brief,
classically what a business person does. Seize the opportunity. Fantastic, fantastic.
Thank you so much.
I mean, and you are on the one thing you've learned is you have to pivot to what society's needs are sometimes, and that's what you did with this particular test kit. What do you need to grow and expand? Are you situated well because you've got sales? and it's probably B to what I call B to how about B2C, B to business to business, B2B.
B2B, yeah.
Right. So, and generally, medical profession, hopefully that is a good paying entity. Are the insurance company? I don't know about India. Are the insurance companies covering the cost, or have you thought about that?
See, now people who had previous insurance, those insurance companies are not. Most of them are not covering COVID.
Wow.
Currently, few new insurance policies have come up with a higher premium, higher these things where they are covering COVID.
Okay, so maybe perhaps in the United States we can get a coverage, but let's talk about scalable models, because any entrepreneur, when you get a product out there, that is what you want to do, right? So you got your sales started, you're doing B2B, and you want to scale. You're doing for your community first, which is very, very important. That's the way most small businesses begin, and because the need is very strong. I think a 24-hour test kit such as yourself is phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Yes.
It's because right now, like, we do that kind of test. What's it called? The PRC test. We do it, and it takes almost a week. My son just had.
No, we are giving it 24 hours. In 2 days, the patient has the results in their hand.
Wow. Here it's. What about you, Jim? What have you been discovering where you live? How long is it taking?
Oh yeah, if you can get tested, it takes a while before you get the results back. And before I have to ask this one question before we go further in this very fascinating direction. Because I'm an ugly American, and when I think of Bangalore, is that about half an hour from New Delhi? Or
no, it's 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yes, 2.5, 3 hours. It's
wow.
Yes.
Jim.
So Jim, to add on that, it's like traveling from New York to California via flight. You need 6 hours, and then we need 3 hours and we need 3 hours from Delhi to reach our Silicon Valley, Bangalore.
Yeah.
Well,
and women entrepreneurs are very less in India. Where that I had to talk about this. Women entrepreneurs are very less in India because of the kind of obligations they are got into. It's like when you are already. Maybe now the scenario is changing. When you're 26 or 27, they are just pushed. Okay, you have to get married. When they are 28 to 29, okay, fine, you're ready for the kids. And when the man is on the road, in the office or something, somebody has to take care of the kids. So it's very difficult in India for a woman to come up and do some business out. And this is the challenging situation over here.
Do you feel like you have some extra pressure on you to be a role model or a trailblazer of any kind?
Sorry?
Do you feel like you have extra pressure on you as one of the female entrepreneurs?
Yes.
Have more pressure on you because you're trailblazing. You're a leader and someone that might be a role model for others.
Yes. See, unless if you're being successful doing what you're doing, then everything goes fine. If you fail, that's where the problem starts.
Right.
Divya, you've probably heard of Kiran Mazumdar's show.
Yeah. She's my role model. She's my role model. When I was during my college days, I used to admire her a lot. I grew up looking at her, and even during my schooling days, I always thought I have to be like her, and I am in that journey.
Yes. I'd met her a long time back, and so I was thinking of her when we started talking.
Yes. She is the one woman where the whole world looks at. And I met her a couple of times when there was a meeting here where there was a hell lot of men, about 30-40 men, and there were 5 to 8 women there. As soon as Kiran Mazumdar Shah entered, all the men got up and they were just. That is what I wanted to see, the difference in India. That is what I want to see, the difference. I felt so proud of her looking the way people started looking. They stood up and they were just. That's what I feel good about her.
it's a pioneering impact, and it's been slow. The change for women have been slow. Conversation with a female who has her own TV show with IBMTV from Africa shares the same struggles, that things have not changed much for women over the years. Even though she's doing her show, there's still great fear. She was sharing with me, still big fear for women to go to school. We had a Chibok situation where those women were young girls were kidnapped, and not all.
Yeah.
So they still struggle too. And I'm like you. I have been wanting to see change. I've been an engineer for 40 years, and when I started, I was the first and only female in most of my positions, and it was my goal to see more and more women grow into the things that I was doing. And I kid you not, 5-6 years ago, I went to a conference that I was invited to for fiber standards, for global fiber standards. And when I entered the room, I wasn't paying attention. And I sat at the front of the room with some friends. And next thing I know, the speakers are going, lady and gentleman, lady. And I go, do they have a list? Is there something wrong here? And I really looked around, and Diva, it was still disappointing after all of these years. I was still the only female in that high level standards committee's room.
True.
That women have still not either taken the aggressiveness to continue that path, or they, from what I have been told, many women in the computer engineering world drop out of college and change their curriculum to something else because the engineering curriculum is just too difficult. Not study-wise, just too difficult as a woman. Yeah, just too difficult as a woman. So
guys that look like me don't like people that look like you, and butting in onto my territory.
What does that have to do with science, Mr. E?
You know what I say?
We're talking about science here, Mr. E. Okay, now I have a question for Diva.
We have this saying in the South that I eloquently tell people.
But,
this is science, Mr. E. Please,
I say that very nicely
please.
and politely.
I have a question for the Diva over there. Quercetin. Okay, this actually came to me from one of our doctors, Dr. Moskowitz in the United States, who received his MD from a university called Harvard, which is not very well known outside the United States. But his question was this, and he's actually a practitioner as well as he runs his research center. He was using quercetin, I guess that's the name of this. It's like a vitamin, successfully on his patients. But he goes, I don't have enough trials on that. And the real problem is it's a practical financial problem. If something like that actually does mitigate coronavirus, hey, nobody can make any money off it. Big problem. You see what I mean? So would your company be somebody interested in, he reached out to me on this, interested in actually doing some clinical trials on quercetin? I guess that's how you spell it.
Quercetin. And I take it because he prescribed it to me because I was not feeling well during COVID, and my fatigue level just accelerated. But I added something to it, and he agreed that it made a big difference, and that was beetroot. Dioxide and quercetin combined, my fatigue level drop has, it's not been overnight. And he even said it won't be overnight, but over a period of time, my fatigue has dropped, my energy has picked up, and I'm breathing better. So
but the thing is, again, it's not, like you said, it hasn't gone through clinical trials. He's just been using it ad hoc with good results.
Well, as treatments for patients, and I was one of his outside guinea pigs.
But would your company, Diva, be interested in pursuing something like that? And then we can introduce you to Dr. Moskowitz, who's in Los Angeles, California.
Definitely, we can do that.
Okay, yeah.
That's great.
We are working with a couple of companies which United States. You may be heard of Glambia, the whey protein.
Okay.
The whey protein, Glambia. We are working with them, and we have done good studies with them.
Right. Okay. See, that's what they need, is they actually need a study rather than ad hoc random trials. And
he's been doing a study. He just finished his paper. He just wrote the paper and got it published. So paper just became published, and we were talking about finding means to incorporate some of the necessities. But he said that quercetin, you have to be very, very careful when taking it. He and I talked a lot on this because I was very serious about trying something to help me feel better. And I don't know if I ever had the COVID. I just stayed home and didn't go anywhere. And I swelled up. I did take antibiotics to clear it up. I probably did.
It's possible because a lot of people are asymptomatic.
Yeah,
some are just taking hydroxychloroquine.
I didn't take that. I took I took antibiotics and an antibiotic that's generally used for malaria. Yeah. And I took some other medications that I had around the house, some prednisone. And he said that these are treatments that you give for asthma patients anyway, for breathing.
Yeah, for prednisone I've been on, and yes, it's not
so
bad.
I mean, but all in all, what was killing me more than anything, I got over the infections and everything, but what was killing me more than anything was the fatigue and the breathing. I could never recover my fatigue and breathing, and that has helped tremendously. So it was quercetin and nitric oxide, a combination of the two. And nitric oxide opens the blood vessels to allow things to flow. And the quercetin, now he said you have to be very, very careful. Don't just go out and take a bunch of it either, because too much of it will cause your joints to swell and lock up. So
right,
yeah.
Right. So actually
I've already done the study with him.
Really? Okay. Well, the thing is, maybe we should bring him.
I'm a scientist too. I might not have a PhD, but I'm a scientist.
Well, maybe just bring him on Friday with Divya and hook him up, because the thing is, he did reach out to me and wanted to know if my billionaire buddies are interested in studies. Billionaires are usually interested in making more billions, not studying anything. Okay, that's for that's for other people to do. You know,
I could write it and say it worked fine, and nobody's going to believe me unless I have a PhD.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I mean,
I believe he has an MD from Harvard, so he does.
So he's got the paper,
and he's been around for many years. So the thing is, and he runs a clinic, so he's a practitioner and has a research study. But just like anybody in the medical profession, if you find data, you need more supporting data. And the other problem with the pharmaceutical industry, I don't know if do you run a compound pharmacy at all, or have you done that before, Divya? Compound.
Sorry, I didn't.
Divya, did you run a compound pharmacy at one time?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, one problem that they have is it's a monetary problem. Ankit knows exactly what it is. Okay, if there is a solution, let's say it's turmeric, because we had, I don't know, it was Alexander or...
it was Alexander. It was
he brought in Irina Kirsch, a chess grandmaster, actually had it and took this herb turmeric or something like that.
Turmeric.
Yeah, which was with good results. Okay, the problem with that, is that there's no way to monetize it. So there's people don't like studying herbs and alternative therapies. Let's get real, because they can't make money off it. If that's a solution, coronavirus, forget it. I'm out. You know, how do you make, so you need your own little special solution that you can patent, and then you can monetize it. So,
well, I don't know that, but if you combine a few elements, I don't know that you would patent it as much as you just manufacture it and get out there first with it. Sometimes patents take too long, as we know. Mine took from 2012 to 2012 to 2019.
But let's get real. All the vitamins and all that type of stuff that's relatively available, if it has a positive effect, there's no financial incentive to study it. Really?
Yeah, there's no financial.
I mean, well, you know, if aspirin solves coronavirus, no one really cares, because you can't monetize on it today. Okay, so the thing is, you're not going to study that. Instead, you're going to study something like remdesivir, which Gilead Science has a patent on, and try to make that fit in the square hole. The FDA here just recently said an effective treatment means better than 50%. Okay, that's pretty interesting. And by the way, I believe they're going to have because we predicted this almost a year ago, that they're going to have a vaccine by the end of the year. Yeah, so it helps 50%. What happens to the other 50%? They get sick and die. But we're not going to tell you that. Okay, we're just going to tell you we have a vaccine.
Well, let's consider something here, Nick, when we're looking at why they haven't continued doing research after every epidemic situation like SARS, MERS? All of these things were corona-based, right?
Sure.
They've also had this epidemic in animals, right? So this is, and the reason why I know this is I did some research and discovered there were labs in China that were working on a vaccine by mutating coronaviruses in chickens. So they were mutating coronaviruses in chickens and trying to build a vaccine. We've had this problem for years. We fixed the problem temporarily and move on. We've never continued research.
But that wasn't really clear. Bill Gates predicted this 5 years ago. He said, well, we need about 400 billion.
He warned Trump in 2016.
Pardon?
He warned Trump in 2016.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, he predicted this 5 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, quite some time ago. He goes, well, the biggest thing facing America and the world is a pandemic, and here's how it's going to work, and you're going to spend $3 trillion. You need to spend several billion, maybe it's 400 billion, more than he has, to start working on it right now, and they ignored him, seriously. Now they think he started it. Bleh, that's dumb. That's totally not true.
My favorite conspiracy theory.
Yeah, right. I've seen this. Totally not true morons who believe that. Okay, but the thing is, do believe this. He was correct. Okay, during that period of time, there was one leader of one of the major countries in the world who had a pandemic unit specialist, and he fired all of them. Like no kidding. 2 years before he got elected. Yeah, you wouldn't know what country that would be. Now, this country he happens to leads in one thing. It has the most coronaviruses in the world. Okay, think about it. Okay, that's called in my book one word.
USA.
Stupid. No,
USA.
it's not. USA. You're a stupid A. I mean, then the thing is, that's the realities of it. You're stupid, eh? Okay, see, the thing is, Willie would get
do a Canadian accent.
You're stupid, eh?
So let's talk about the importance of a test kit. And my theory on the test kit is that we could definitely use this to help control the wildfire by early detection. If you're testing something, you're getting the results back in 24 hours, and the test results are 80% accurate, which is better than any other place.
Oh, Kim, we've been talking about this months before it happened. Months and months before this even happened. I feel like Bill Gates, you're talking the wilderness of moronic. Okay, and the thing is,
talking to stupid people in the United States. We're now talking to smart people on IBMTV.
We were saying when the death rates here were around 15,000, we predicted it was going to go over 100 within X amount of months. It did so. We predicted quite accurately, okay, that they're going to relax the rules and it's going to increase again. Guess what happened? They relaxed the rules here and increased again. This is not rocket science. You don't need somebody as smart as Divya to figure this one out. Okay.
That's what she said. It's not rocket science.
Divya, I have a question for you that during the current situation in India, especially in the world, how many kits we require, for next 6 months?
Sorry, your voice was not clear.
How many test kits do we require right now to cover up the next 6 months for India and for the world?
Oh, it will be in few lakhs. I think every day lakhs of tests are happening in India. Every day. In fact, in Karnataka or in Bangalore, the tested positive cases are in thousands. That means the testing is going on in lakhs. Okay. So we may reckon lakhs. Lakhs means it may be in the millions.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I want to ask you.
On the other hand, do you think that we should also add a combination of test kits like testing COVID with other maybe malaria or maybe diabetes, so that we have a combination of multiple test kits using the same blood?
And at this point of view, combining with other things would not be a good idea, I feel.
No, because you know that right now monsoon season is going on, so we have malaria cases, swine flu, we have typhoid, we have a lot of other cases as well. And
that is rapid test. What you are talking is about rapid test kit where you just take the blood and prick and you just
that's what I'm talking about.
This is not the rapid test. Rapid test is not.
I understand. I know that you are into a different test kit, but what I am trying to understand is that if we have one blood sample, and with that blood sample we can carry multiple tests at the same point of time.
Here what we are doing, we are taking nasal or oral swabs. We are not taking the blood samples. The swab samples is what we are taking for coronavirus testing, not the blood samples. So I'm not sure how we'd like to.
And also with the swab samples, we have seen that the success rate is around 85%.
Yes,
So
yes,
what do you think
definitely.
about it?
Yeah, definitely, 85 to 90%.
Just-
So do you recommend to have 2 swab tests in a period of 10 days to get the actual thing done?
No, they do on the 7th day and they do on the 14th day
Okay.
Okay.
to check what is the
Let's
progress
talk about how we can get these combined, collaborate, work together globally. I can connect you with some people. I would like to, like what Nick wants to do, talk to you about doing some work in some of the solutions. They're treatments. They're not answers to cures, right? They're treatments. And that's what we need moving forward, is probably some things that people can treat at home that is safe. But let's talk about collaborating, scaling your business model. And if you want to connect and do that, I have a lab here in the United States that we can incorporate that with. I also have connections with 2 universities that we could also connect those resources with. So
Definitely.
let's see what we can do to make this everywhere. And I know Willie's probably got connections in Australia. Sasha's got connections in.
I've got an idea how to.
Sure, we can do a technology transfer. We can do we did not travel to United States to build a kit or something. We can.
What we could do is buy the license from you, right? And that way we're just not stealing it and using it.
Yes.
Incorporated business.
It's more of a collaboration. It's more of a collaboration where we connect the world, connect the dots, and we're sharing the best practices. That's what we do on IBM.
Yeah, we don't want to just take.
You've got the business chops. You've got the science chops. Kimberly puts you in touch with this guy, and you can do a controlled study and prove that you have something effective. What you need is next step is the marketing. And I would suggest that you say, you package it in something and you call it COVID ease. And it'll be all over the pharmacies in the United States. Everybody will be taking it at home and everybody will feel better. And you'll become a Bill Gates.
That's something similar to what we did before, something ease, cold ease.
That's all you have to do.
It's a good name. Good name.
And Americans will buy it.
Yeah. But one more thing I want to tell you: this everybody cannot take it and handle it themselves. You need an RT-PCR machine in your laboratory setup. That's what she was telling. You need an RT-PCR machine. You need a experienced technician, or if he's not experienced, also we can train him how to handle the things. So he has to handle like preparing the buffer, mixing it, centrifuging it, lysing it. There's a procedure involved in it. It's a procedure where people themselves cannot do it at their home or something like that. It should go through a laboratory process.
And I think every university in the world could set up a small lab. And
yes, definitely. This doesn't require any expensive instrumentation or a huge setup or something. With normal laboratory, with minimal things, you can do it.
So maybe we can set up what I call monetized training sessions. So we work together and we bring the training to the United States, and we bring it to Canada, to Australia, to Hong Kong, and we can all elaborate on this, because to me, early testing means early detection. Testing means early detection. Early detection means isolation and reduce fatalities, because early detection means early treatments. And if you isolate, it means, keeping the wildfire under control. And Divya, I really appreciate this opportunity. I hope that you join us.
Definitely. I want to tell you one more point also. Here, people are charging about $80 to $90, $80 or something for each COVID testing or something. If I mean, technology, the cost which is incorporating for this entire kit is not more than $10 to $15 for each sample analysis. If you have a laboratory and if you have people working around, you can test a sample in $20, or investing just $20, and you can make it huge.
I'll give you an example of business monetization. Okay, the kits that they're bringing in for rapid testing are $6 per test. Okay.
Yeah. But rapid testing is not the confirmatory for the
Right.
COVID.
Yeah.
But I want to explain to you how the upcharge happens. It comes into this country $6 per test. By the time they use it at the doctor's office, it's $38.
Oh, yeah. There's so many hands would have passed.
Look at that.
Like,
But Divya, what I believe is that apart from the testing, we should focus on creating more test labs, or maybe some kind of mobile test lab, so that we can get the testing done at the same point of time.
Definitely.
That
This is
something
also
that is required.
this is also a wonderful
I think we
idea.
can discuss all that together on a different call, maybe, because we have a guest lined up right now. So it was good to have you, Divya, and we would love to host you again. Thank you for joining us on IBMTV. And
Thank you for giving me opportunity.
We have to do a Divya part 2 on IBMTV as soon we can.
Yeah. Thank you. I look forward for the same.
Divya, I'm going to send you in private chat my email. Please email me so we can get this going.
Sure.
Okay.
Please do that.
It's right there in private chat. And
we would like to welcome Scott Murray. Hi, Scott. Good morning. How are you doing?
Hi. How are you?
Hi. Good morning.
Good.
So
I'm good. I think Paul might be backstage. Here it comes. Paul Tobis.
Hi, Paul. Good morning.
So
right out from the backstage.
Well,
that's a great conversation you guys were having previously. It's some interesting stuff those guys are working on.
Oh, you have no idea the contacts that we have made with IBMTV from all over the world. It's been so fabulous that people keep coming back. The dean from Yale comes back every week. David K. Johnson, who's a Pulitzer Prize author and tax expert, literally has an hour every week that he comes in. Doctors from Harvard. I mean, doctors from India have been coming almost every day for months, sharing what's been going on. So this has been a fabulous experience and journey to start IBMTV World News. So
yeah, well, I'm getting a test tomorrow actually, so I'll have to let you know how that goes. I'm not sure what type it's going to be, but I was traveling last week, so they have free testing facilities where I live, and I figured, you know what, why not? Just go in, get it taken care of, and get the check. So I'll have to give you an update on that.
Absolutely, Scott. So did you have to schedule an appointment, and how long, and things like that?
Yeah, I did. You know, at CBS, they have a website. You go on, and they give you a list of times that you can check in, and you schedule an appointment. You drive up. You got to tell them what type of car you drive, what color it is, and everything, because you're not allowed to get out of your car. They come right up to your window, and they do the test right there.
Wow. So, drive-through has definitely updated a little bit from picking up food to getting tests. This is pretty interesting. I love CVS. CVS won my heart many years ago when they quit selling cigarettes.
Yeah.
Because they said, you know what, it's just not healthy. We're going to stop it. And they knew, their board member said, if you do that, we're going to go under because we're going to lose so much business. And in fact, they didn't go under. They actually probably picked up more business. So, but Scott, welcome. Just for everybody to know and our viewers to know, our board members here, we have Willie Hill from Australia. He's also an entrepreneur. And we have Rakesh from Hong Kong. These guys have been faithful to IBMTV since we started. And they've been on our show almost every day, sharing the world news from their end of the world. We also have Ann Kitt, who is our senior executive producer. And Nick Palabati, I don't know if he beamed out. We beam in and out of here. It's a great way to be able to air TV shows all day cost effectively. So anyway, and Paul, welcome as well. Share with me who you are. I'm glad to meet you.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Kimberly, Willie, Rakesh, and Keith, thank you for having us on. It's great to meet you guys. Given the list of your previous guests, going to be hard shoes to fill. Pulitzer Prize winners, doctors, Yale professors. I am an astronaut and a pilot and a rock star, so hopefully that fills.
Sweet. Oh my gosh! So
yeah, I wish.
You know, let me tell you something. Every day we meet people that are just astounding because you do something really fabulous in the technical world that not many people have been able to achieve. And that's my background in 40 years of engineering is telecom engineering, connecting the world via communications. But share with us what you do for the company.
Sure.
You are, how it got started, and all of these wonderful things.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll kind of go back and forth, but I'll go ahead and kick us off. So I'm the vice president of sales at American Firewire. Been in the wireless industry for coming up on 16 years now. And, wireless people get very confused. What does wireless mean? Well, the wireless industry that I speak of is really the infrastructure of everything wireless, whether it's Wi-Fi in a hotel, whether it is providing connectivity to rural areas, or public safety and first responders, which is where our company was born out of. So we started about 4 years ago, and just a little bit of background on the specific industry that we're in. It's called public safety for first responders, where we provide coverage inside buildings for first responders. So unfortunately, if you remember back to 9/11, there was a lot of problems with the ability to communicate outside of the building, similar to not having a cell signal in your office or in your home. And so we're in the industry of making sure that there is coverage for the first responders, police, fire, ambulance, whomever, inside a building during an emergency. So we started about 4 years ago by a vision of our president, who couldn't make it today, Will Rogers. You'll have to excuse, you might hear the dog in the background protecting me.
That's okay.
But anyway, so about 4 years ago, Will had a vision to create this cable called it's 2-hour fire rated cable. Within a system that brings the connectivity or the communications inside a building, it's a system of antennas, cabling, and amplifiers, where you take the signal from the outside and bring it to the inside. Within that system, there are requirements and regulations that the cable can burn for up to 2 hours, or matching the building's survivability. This did not exist at the time, so it was very expensive for companies and ultimately for building owners to pay to fireproof this cable, because if the cable burns, the rest of the system doesn't work.
Right.
So there was a need, there was a demand, there was no product. So we had a vision on building this product, and after roughly 4 years of engineering, generation 1, generation 2, now generation 3, we finally have a cable that can burn for over 2 hours at up to 1850 degrees and pass the radio frequency signal, and ensuring communications for our first responders and ultimately saving lives.
Wow. So I want
that's wonderful.
So the thing people don't understand, we claim ourselves to be a wireless world when in fact there's a lot of wire that backhauls everything. I mean, people just don't understand the capacity of wires that are still involved in a wireless society. But let's talk about your first responder projects, which I know it as FirstNet. Correct? Are you?
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm familiar with FirstNet. That is a type of system that's coming online that's being used by AT&T and more of the cellular networks, but it's a slightly different frequency than generally what's being currently used today.
Right, but there's a combination.
Absolutely.
And the combination that we are talking about and working with, and one of the things that makes you unique is your ability to withstand the heat and fire for the length of time. I mean, that is a very rare capability. Even fiber itself cannot withstand that kind of heat. So that's fabulous. I think, you know what, I'm going back. I'm always going back because I know I've met Scott somewhere. I do know how we kind of crossed paths again. Yep. It was by accident. I thought he was one of my attorneys, and the conversation just went from one craziness to another.
He stayed at a Holiday Inn last night, so I think he might be an attorney.
Well, what's weird, Scott? Every time your name pops up on my phone now, I think you're my attorney. So So
well,
anyway,
don't come to me for legal advice.
yeah, right. But I'll tell you what, I will come to you for technology advice. Well, I also I'm not just a TV show host. I'm an engineer for 40 years, and launching an invention, working with FirstNet and with law enforcement, but also inside of buildings. And where you talk about being able to track what's going on inside of a building, that's part of my patent, is
Oh,
to be
wow.
able to track, identify, give alerts, and also document, right, what everything that went on, because data is very important, but what's more important is how you use it. And so I've worked on this since 2012, and
Excellent.
part of my going in and solving the Z-axis problem, which has always been a big issue, was work I was doing with one of the directors of Homeland Security, who asked me if I could help them do tracking inside of airports, because he lost a friend who was killed in a shootout in one of the airports, and they couldn't find him. He bled out before they could find him. So one of the things he wanted to do was be able to, be able to track just your own employees, right? Not even to track for other nonsense stuff that's going on, but start from the very important part of where's my own people and how can I reach them and help them. But what you're doing is pretty phenomenal. How is business going this year?
Well, we just launched about a month and a half ago.
Wow. Okay.
So Scott, why don't you go ahead and take that?
Well, the interesting thing about it is we have been at this for about 4 years now, trying to put together a product that will meet all the requirements, can be mass produced, and there's been a lot of interest from the industry, because when you look at the more antiquated options that people used to be able to work with versus ours, we're at about a tenth of the price as opposed to the materials, the labor, everything that went into what was previously involved with the other option. So there's been a lot of people following us over the last 4 years, seeing the progress that we're having. And we launched, just about a month and a half ago. And right when we launched, there's 200, 300 people just in the area that I service, which is primarily the Northeast, that cannot wait to work with our products. So it's been pretty exciting. And, that 2 hour mark, you mentioned that earlier, why that was important. And I just want to elaborate on that. So these systems, they are intended to keep running for 2 hours. And the most crucial and the most commonly used would be fire in that scenario. So what they figure is, for fire, 2 hours, if they haven't solved the problem within 2 hours, then they're evacuating the building. But within those 2 hours, it is absolutely crucial for them to be able to have communication inside of the building. And as Paul was saying, previously, that signal, it gets lost between what we typically build buildings with: concrete, steel, wood. All this stuff will block the RF frequency from getting inside of the building. So now we have the system that redistributes the signal throughout the building. These guys can communicate, they can coordinate life-saving activities. It's safer for the firefighters, the SWAT teams, the police, everybody that goes in the building, but it's also safer for whoever lives in those buildings, whoever works in those buildings, and it's a crucial thing. But to go back to what I was saying earlier about the price being such a drastic thing, it was very hard for a lot of buildings to be able to afford the cost previously. And some jurisdictions, they weren't enforcing it as strictly as they could. Every jurisdiction gets to decide exactly what they do. Being able to complete these projects at a more reasonable dollar amount is going to give people the opportunity to be actually able to complete these projects, whereas previously it was, well, we can do this project, or we can and go out of business, or we could not do the project, and there was that disconnect. So now with the ability of this cable and the margins that are so drastically different, people are really going to be able to complete these projects in a timely manner like they should. Authority having jurisdictions will be able to enforce it and say, okay, it's no longer a $3 million project, it's a $300,000 project. There's no reason you can't do this. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of the benefits that might come along with it. Maybe reduced insurance costs because you've implemented some really good safety procedures. But also, I'm looking at your future sales and ability to go and rebuild some of the buildings that were burned in fires during the protest or riot. No, these weren't take that back. Not during the protests, during the riots.
Yeah.
We have to be careful. So but the thing is that there was a lot of damage, and now you have to go in and maybe reinstalling better cable and this particular standard it's a good time to take advantage of this when you're rebuilding. But new construction, what about for houses? Would this be something that would be good for residential?
Yeah, it's required for large residential. You go through a neighborhood, single family homes, you wouldn't typically have this, but some jurisdictions, for instance, any building more than 3 stories are required to have this. One thing that, I'm glad you distinguished the rioters versus the protesters. I completely agree there. But with the riots, you look at that church that was burned down in DC, and one of the things that previously with the other models that hasn't been discussed up to this point is the footprint of the other options. With that wrap, you're looking at something that can be, this wide, 3 feet to cover those materials, those cables previously, whereas our cable is a standalone cable and it has a much smaller footprint. So when you look at a historical building, you don't want to see a big 3-foot enclosure that runs the length of the building. This is a much smaller footprint. It can be painted and can more disguise itself in those buildings. So that's one of the big areas that people are noticing. And you'd also mentioned the, with the structures that have had issues, that is one of the big times that the existing structures will begin to implement these systems, is because the firefighters go in, they try to use their communications devices, and that's when they will realize that their communications devices are faulty, they're not working inside of the building, and that's when it gets reported. At that level, that's when they'll go to the building and say you have to implement one of these systems.
Kimberly, if I can jump in real quick to your point earlier about some of the buildings that have burned down during the riots. This system is not an investment for a building owner where they get an ROI. It's a sunk cost and a requirement, right? They have to do it to open up and get their building permit. So any possible way to lower the cost of the overall system is more than welcome in the marketplace. And with all the buildings that will have to be rebuilt, they will absolutely have to put in a public safety DAS. DAS stands for Distributed Antenna System. They will have to put it in, and with our cable now being on the market, they'll be able to do it at a significantly less cost. So that'll be a benefit. And to your previous question, business has been very good so far. A lot of these are project driven. Well, they're all project driven. So it's not something that someone just goes to the store and picks up because it's a new product, right? There's a lot of steps to the projects until it ultimately gets purchased and installed. So we're kind of in that project mode and filling our funnel, and but the acceptance and the excitement in the marketplace is beyond what we thought.
Well, this is our business day, so let's talk a little bit about building a business, because we try to encourage startups, and this is definitely what I consider a startup with a lot of experience, right? Not many people have the experience that you guys have it. So this is great. But let's talk about, how long did it take you to establish this? What kind of standards did you have to meet? Who did you meet with to get these standards? Is the fire department, do you have certain fire department levels? Did you go to DC? Like in DC, we have smart cities, and there some of the fire department commissioners attend to give us standards. So what all was involved in building you where you are today?
It's a great question. So there's a lot of standards. There's different types of tests that need to be done that you have to pass, right? So within our UL is one of the main standard bearers that you have to pass a certain test, or you have to do something that is an equivalent. So one of the I'd just say challenges is that when you invent a brand new product, there's not a standard necessarily to address that product. And we invented this cable. So there is no specific standard to test to our cable as there would be to, say, a fire alarm system where it's been on the market for 50 years, and there's just there's a standard built around how a fire alarm should work or how an elevator should work, all those things. So it's a brand new product. So there has been a little bit of a hurdle with finding standards that test our product to be used as it's intended to be used, burning for 2 hours and passing the radio frequency. So we've had to work with a separate company that allowed us to test to both standards. And now it's a matter of basically telling that story, evangelizing it to what Scott said earlier, the authorities having jurisdiction or the fire marshals, because there's different levels in every jurisdiction for them to sign off on your product and say, okay, this looks like it works. I'm on board with your testing procedures. So you may now be installed in this system. So there's been a lot of there's more tests that we need to take and to pay for. It's not cheap to pay for these tests at all. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I try to explain that to them. Not just take something off the shelf, and I'm like, no.
It has to be tested.
It has to be. Can you not know? And one of the biggest mistakes, I'll share a story with you. There was somebody came out with a tracking device several years ago. And that they managed to get funding. They said all we needed is XYZ, $150,000. I'm like, who the heck would have taken that task on? Only $150,000. It costs more than that just for engineering fees. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here, and the sad part of the story was they got the product built and got it launched, but then somebody came back and said, you didn't get your certifications for GPS and the little one that goes between the skin and the product, and they didn't get any of it. See, that's what I do when I build my business plan, because of my background in engineering, and I helped launch the first fiber networks, and I did the product buildments for business packages for all of these things. I know the little, like you said, UL approval.
The nuances.
Right. There are GPS certifications. There are wireless certifications. There are antenna certifications. There's so many certifications and licenses you have to get. It's unbelievable. And it would cost more than $150,000 for one. And so I'm glad you brought this up, because this company, they didn't do it. They had to go back and restart, and it was a $3 million restart.
Yep. It's and there's a lot of education.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a lot of education that needs to be made, because if there isn't a standard for your product, either a standard has to be created, or you work with another standards and testing company to potentially alter a test. So what we did is we went to a company called Western Fire. There is a test called ASTM E119 that's used to test for building survivability.
Okay.
But it's more based on building materials, but still uses the same, what's called a time temperature curve or burn test. They allowed us to inject the RF signal and certify that we passed it for the entirety of the 2 hours. So we have been tested to a standard that was, they allowed us to alter just slightly, but there's a lot of education to be done in the marketplace, specifically with the authorities having jurisdiction and the building code enforcers, for lack of a better term,
Right.
until UL comes out with a standard that's specific to our cable, because they don't just write standards for anybody that opens up creates a new product.
Yeah, but
No,
at the risk of stating the obvious, aren't you describing a barrier to innovation?
Absolutely, 100%.
But
that's a very poignant way of putting it, because
if you don't do some barriers, you end up with a mess like we have with the internet right now. Because now, the internet, they didn't put a lot of barriers and standards in place, and now we have a lot of open doors for hackers. And it created a mess, and they know they did. They realized this, but their choice was, if we regulate it too much, then we're not going to have a lot of innovation. So they weighed it and they said, you know what, let's just open it up and see what happens. And it became a mess. It became such a big mess, especially with PCI compliances, that a lot of universities and hospitals were hacked so often that they've gone back to virtual private networks. So majority of them have gone back and reconfigured their whole infrastructure, and they have no more outside interconnectivity to their systems and mainframes. So, yeah.
It's a fine line between overregulation and underregulation. You got to protect, in ours, you have to protect people. You can't just have any, a fire alarm. I keep going back to that because that's the most common product that someone just makes in the garage and throw it in a building. But then again, you don't want to inhibit innovation. So it's a very fine line between too much and too little regulation. And we're learning this. Your example before, an extra $3 million, it's not that high with us, but there's certainly some more hurdles than we had originally anticipated.
Right. And a lot of people don't. And I think it was my background, because a lot of investors would not invest in me. They invested in the cheap guys. And it was because I had all of that in place. They go, you're just doing too much. No, if you don't do this, you're going to go back to the drawing board and you're going to start over. For them, it was $3 million because they had to redo all of their engineering fees. They had to redo everything. It wasn't $3 million just for the licenses, but in order to get approved. But I want to add something, that all of these regulations, as much as they might hinder some innovation, they actually secure your intellectual property when you do pass them. Right.
Yes.
So it kind of gives you a little bit of certification, and it gives you a little bit of what I call profitability and credibility. So now you can go out and sell with a little bit of credibility, and it makes it easier to sell. So there's a plus and minus to all of this.
But Kimberly, I have to ask, who's, again, stating the obvious, who's regulating the regulators? And I don't understand how we're going to meet that fine line between overregulation and underregulation unless someone's doing it in an intelligent fashion. Because I don't think we're overregulated. I think we're insanely regulated because it's not logical.
You're right. There is no, so like Smart Cities has National Institute of Standard Technologies that promotes smart cities. And the reason why NIST was chosen was they've set the standards globally for a lot of technology that is used today. Like they were the ones who established what red light, green light, yellow light means. Otherwise, every country would be different. You'd have no idea when to slow down, stop, or go. So there are a few organizations that exist. Sometimes you get these standards, like he was saying, that this technology has never existed before, so you have to establish the standards. Like that's why I sat on the standards committees for fiber. Standards for fiber never existed before. Right. So we had to build and establish what those standards are, what the tests are, and then you're going to have people come in and they're going to dispute it and just say no, it needs to be this, but that's science, and that's going to happen. But it is insanely regulated. I'm not too crazy with some of the ways that they regulate things, because sometimes it's about this. Right. PCI compliance is a big example, because when I ask them, when they come in and they find companies anywhere in the world for not following a certain standard in PCI, I ask, where does that money go? Who's getting that money? Who's fining and who's getting the money? And to top it off, what's the money being used for? And nobody can answer my question at these big standards committee meetings. Yeah. So it is just like what I discovered many years ago when I started my own phone company, that the FCC fee that everybody was being billed had nothing to do with federal commissions. And nothing, that money the FCC never even saw the money. FCC fee was done by all the major corporations. The money came in. It was it went up as high as $7 per month for each residential client, and that money went as bonuses to the owners of the company. Okay, I was the one who founded that problem. I was the one who addressed it and got it removed from the books because I thought it was wrong, and I was not going to do it for my company. So I did, I actually, when I look back, that was the first time I ever got audited by my taxes too. So I pissed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really pissed somebody off back then. But,
I bet.
But what I want to say is that, you know, nobody really manages all the regulations. UL has been around the longest. Am I right? UL. So that's the
over 100 years, I believe.
That's the first one. In any kind of technology with power associated in any way that connects to the utility, you have to get UL approved. And that's hard. It's not easy. It is a big check, but you know.
Yeah.
Well,
especially when they don't have a certification. So UL has something that's similar. They have a test for electrical cables or data cables. And what they do is you send this cable to a fire room. And that fire room, it has the heat signature time heat interval that Paul was mentioning earlier. And that gets up to 1850 degrees. It runs for 2 hours. But what they do is they have this cable going through it. It's like a kiln that you would use in shop class to make a pot. It's the exact same idea, except for this one you can drive a bus into. So you have the cable going through it, and on the far end you have a light bulb. And that light bulb has to stay lit the entire test for the 2 hours. And that's how they certify that this cable is able to function for 2 hours under the heat time test interval. Well, we're obviously not an electrical cable. We run RF radio frequency through it. So that testing facility that Paul mentioned, we went to them and we said, okay, here's the test to get this UL rating. It's the most similar that we can see on the UL, but we're not an electrical cable. We don't want to blur the lines and make people think that we are, doing something that we're not. So we have this device right here, and it measures RF frequency. To be up to code, you have to be at a very minimum at this level right here. And what we'd like to certify is, as opposed to having the light bulb, we want to have this device metering the RF, and we want to certify that under the exact same heat and time test interval that you would do for UL, that we are able to reach the minimums for RF frequency. So that's how, with UL not having a direct test for RF frequency, because it's a new technology, that's how we were able to still get our 2 hour fire rating.
Wow. So let me ask you, have you guys made a contact?
I'm sorry, I missed that one, Kimberly.
Why are we echoing?
There you go. That's
All
better.
Right. Okay. So there's an organization in North Carolina called Micro Center of North Carolina, MCNC, Microcomputers of North Carolina. They're the ones who helped us establish credibility and standards for fiber. And I was wondering if you guys have made any contact with them.
No, we haven't. I'm not familiar with that. I'd love to get the information.
Yeah, let's do that, because they set a lot of standards that are used globally. And I just had a friend of mine leave a government job to go work for them. And so let's see what we can do. A lot of companies, especially when it comes to cabling and the communication world, they always kind of go there to just get that extra certification.
That would be excellent. I want to make just a couple more quick comments. Jim, I like what you said. It's not necessarily over-regulation. It's insane regulation. And who's regulating the regulators? And what we've seen is it's kind of a wild west in certain ways, in that, certain jurisdictions want us to pass a test that has nothing to do with our cable. It's just a box they want to check.
Yeah.
And they said, well, but this doesn't say anything about, it says our cable's round or you can step on it. What does this have to do with our cable? And so it's pretty insane when you really dig into the nuances of regulations and educating, regulating the regulators or educating the regulators is really, one of the biggest things that we do all day, every day. And many of them are open to this education. A lot of them just want to check a box. And so certainly to your point, Jim, it is a barrier to innovation at some level. But to your point, Kimberly, is if you know this and you get over those early on, then, all your hard work, it does have some level of protection.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Let's talk about the future, scalable models, what you're doing to Just ensure your sustainability. You got to generate sales. That's what you guys are out there doing. Congratulations on launching like that. But what do you need moving forward as a startup type business?
Well, certainly it's a brand new product, so adoption, right? And the more people adopt, the more the snowball effect goes.
Okay.
You use it, okay, now I can use it. Now I can use it. So early adoption is one key, but we're not that concerned about this happening because the need and the demand is there. It's funny that you don't really have to sell this cable that strongly to the integrators and the contractors because they just see the need. Oh, you guys are finally here, so there's not a lot of sales if you're talking to the right person.
Right.
It's not like a matter of convincing someone they need a product that they didn't know that they needed. But getting past the regulatory part, but moving forward, we do have a product roadmap. I can't obviously go into all the details of it here. It's going to be surrounded by this industry of protecting the system, because we can't be a one-trick pony and just have one product. We do have other products under development, and you brought up the fiber cable. Obviously, that there's a huge need for fire-rated fiber that is UL listed as well, and so we definitely have a robust product roadmap, and hopefully these will be coming online within the next year plus.
Well, that's exciting. So you need adoption. You probably need awareness. You just need
adoption, some awareness, money, of course.
So let's talk about, everybody says they need money. Are you looking for investors?
We're privately funded at the moment, but for the right investor, obviously we're going to sit down and talk to anybody that's interested in investing with us. Auntie, you're in? I saw you raise your hand.
So we're all entrepreneurs.
I wanted to offer you a bigger market, which is India. We have 1.3 billion people, and there is a lot of good buyer requirement every time. I mean, because we are still in the building state. I mean, if you compare America, it's already have a good infrastructure, but we are still developing a lot of infrastructure. So I think American Fire would be a good option for Indian. But what I would like to understand is that why you opted for the name American Fire, and do you see yourself outside US as well as a market for your company? And how big is the industry right now?
How big is the industry? And did you ask about where we came up with American Firewire?
Well, he's wondering if you want to go beyond America.
So, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I forgot to mention in the beginning, we are 100% American made, which is great for the American market, thus our name, American Firewire. We want to sell worldwide, obviously. It all depends on what country is enforcing which type of building code. I know that there's certain pockets of Canada that are enforcing it similar to we are. Doesn't look like there's a lot of enforcement in Mexico currently. But frankly, we need to do some more research into all the countries that are enforcing a similar code around a system that is fire rated. So absolutely, we want to scale up.
How big is the current market right now?
Go ahead.
How big is the current market?
How big
is the market?
Currently.
It's a tough question to answer because if you're talking about the size of the market for all products, it's certainly in the U.S. It's probably around 5-6 billion, I think, is the last figure that I saw. But there's a lot of different products that go into that. There's labor that goes into that. So the market for our specific cable, about a year and a half ago, because I'll just take a quick step back. The cable that we're replacing cost about $1.50 a foot. Our cable right now is $65 list per foot. But the alternative could be $500 a foot to fireproof it. So if you're looking at the market from the $1.50 a foot, that's one figure. So it's kind of hard to pin down. but we've had estimates of $50 to $100 million at a minimum for just the cable in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah, that's that wrap we were talking about, because the cable that runs inside of it that previously wasn't fireproofed, $1.50 a foot, but by the time you do all the fireproofing, it can be $500, $600, even more a foot with materials and labor.
Wow. That's
and also, Paul, is the cable only used for?
We're echoing.
Yeah.
See if
Let me just fix this. So, Paul, so you mentioned that your bigger market is about construction industry, but do you have a specific wire on for underwater as well? Do you have anything specific product for underwater?
Well, I know we don't have fire-rated cable for underwater. I'm just kidding. But no, I've never really explored the underwater cabling market.
Would you be talking about maybe cruise ships?
No, I'm not about cruise ship basically. So what happened is that because I was listening to the conversation, but if you know about the data server market, they require a lot of wiring as well, and most of the data server requires a lot of electric consumption because they need cooling thermometers or the cooling equipments basically to make sure that the server remains cool. So now what they're doing a testing is that they're putting all the servers under a sea or an ocean, and that requires a lot of wiring. And the testing is already done, and they are happy with the testing. But now they're working on the model where they can plant those servers underwater and how they can utilize it. Because if they put underwater, the server cost remains 25%.
Really?
Yeah.
So so just out of the keen, because you're talking about fire, so why not water?
I would love to pick up this conversation after this and learn more about that market itself. I mean, I think we have a lot of things to.
The world's largest data center in Miami, right? And it's underwater, and whenever they have floods, but they also make the connectivity across the oceans. So yeah, definitely the water corrosion. I want to share with you one of my biggest success stories as an entrepreneur raising money. And a lot of people don't realize how important cable still is in investing in. Everybody thinks it's all this, right?
It all plugs into a cable.
Nobody has any idea. So when talking with someone who invests a lot of money into a lot of big projects, he generally would never invest in telecom because it had a right. So I asked one question. It's just purely because of my background, right? And I'm going to share that here. I always tell people you have to read my book to find out what that question is. But I asked one question because he said, I'm going to give you 7 minutes to pitch me your company. And I'm like, I didn't come here to pitch my company. I came here to pitch somebody else's, which went well. But I know that you don't invest in telecom. So I didn't. And he goes, no, 7 minutes. You got it. So I just looked at him and I said, okay, I have one question to ask you. What is the one thing that has been invested in the past 100 years or more that never lost its value? Ever.
And the answer?
He didn't have an answer, nor did his attorney. And he finally asked me, well, what is it? And I said, it's the cable in the ground and the right of ways. All the cable that you have never lost its value, ever. Landlines in particular, the copper, cable itself will corrode. So I don't like to invest in it. You'll never see any of my projects with cable. I thought Time Warner was a never mind. So
we are talking about the wireless world, but for the wireless world also we require a lot of cabling to be done at good quality with at the right time, because those cables will create a lot of wireless for our day-to-day usage. And I think because of 5G, which is just around the corner, we need good cables which sustain for a long period of time. And with that, I have a question for Paul and Scott. Have you ever thought about creating some kind of analytics with your cable, that what kind of instructions or messages those cables are sharing, and then that could be a dashboard for you to make sure that when is the time to change the cable, or what is the time to repair it and things like that. Have you ever thought about anything like that?
The data for the applications, you mean, Ankit?
Yeah, maybe a bot for the cable which will tell us that this now it's time to repair, and how much time we have put in the cable. So there are a lot of data involved basically. So based on that data, we can make sure that we can do good services for our clients.
I would love to. And as far as gathering and monitoring data that might pass to our cable, is that part of your question?
I thought
so. It's more about, suppose you put up a cable in my office 10 years
Right.
ago. So now what is the status of that cable? How soon we have to change it? What is the repair point of view?
Got it.
How
you
is it
keeping
performing?
updated?
Is it performing 100% or is it performing 80%? So there are a lot of insights and data which we can create, which will help us to create more, recurring business for our clients.
Oh my gosh, that is excellent. I mean, how many people actually do that? And that's
So
really,
no, that's a great point. And as far as these systems are involved, you have your antennas, your cable, your bidirectional amplifiers, and usually the integrator will have a maintenance contract that they come out and test every year to make sure it's working. The cabling, as far as its life cycle, monitoring its life cycle, and then recommending when to replace it, though. I haven't really seen that as a specific market itself. Usually, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, they replace it. But having a life cycle that you say, look, probably time to replace your cable because you certainly don't want it going out at the worst time.
that is brilliant.
It's a great idea.
But Paul, you need to understand that we are talking about the digital era. Maybe something else is coming up now. But we have cards which can tell us that it's time to do service. So same as with system, same as with antivirus. So there should be some kind of a model which we can create out of that electricity industry, especially the cable, which will help us to create more sales and also help us to reduce a lot of fire as well, basically. Because a lot of fire around the world happens. I don't have a data, but I think 25-30% fire happens just because of the faulty cable.
Yes.
So I think. So I think there could some kind of innovation could come out that point of time. Yeah.
I was going to share with you real quick, Enki. So that device that I was talking about earlier that monitors the RF frequency, that's the same device that is required on an annual basis with these systems. You actually have to go through, you split the building up into different zones, and you test to make sure that each zone of that building is reaching at least the minimum required RF frequency to operate efficiently. So, for instance, there's certain, I don't want to say moving pieces, but they're similar to moving pieces, whereas the cable is completely stationary. I have a building that I'm working with in San Jose, California right now, and one of the parts of these systems is they have to have a battery backup system that will keep it running even if the electricity goes out. That went out. They were notified immediately that the batteries had gone out and had to be replaced. So I'm assisting them now getting the new batteries. Once the new batteries go in, anytime you touch these systems at all, you have to complete that test afterwards. So we'll assist them get the new batteries put in, and then we'll go through and do what we call a grid test, where we're going to check the RF frequency to ensure that it's working throughout the entire building. But to your point, that test is only done once a year. There are certain things that will alert us that it's time to do the test. For instance, the battery's going out in this scenario. But what I think you're describing is maybe a device that can monitor that, the grid throughout the entire year as a minute-to-minute basis versus just once in a while, once in a year when you do work on the project or when you need to complete the requirements for the local AHJ.
No, I think that, yeah, in working in the industry, they have a lot of checks and balances. But I do like the idea, just like, you got to get your roof replaced every 10 or based on what kind of shingles you bought, every 10, 30 years. So that's something to think about. I mean, I do a lot of that. Actually, in the telecom industry, we had to do that. A lot of check and balances. But
Scott, also we can remove that barrier where that 1 year is a little longer, and also that is manually. So if we create some kind of innovative technology out of it, and if you get the data regularly, it would be beneficial for you and for the users as well. And also now everything is online. If you have seen the latest OS, released by Apple, they are operating all those electricals and lighting through their mobile phone. So why not we manage those people as well? Because it's high time, and when we can do it, we have those technologies. It's just a matter of time, and maybe make sure that it won't. It won't affect some kind of natural calamities, or maybe a fire or things like that, and we can save that. That fire thing, maybe, or it's time to repair, or maybe whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of data which we can generate, and we can plan a lot of things out of it as well, basically.
So I think good to encapsulate that, because right now, as Scott was saying, if the battery backup fails, there's an alert that gets sent, but it gets sent to a fire panel, and then there's a dry contact, and somebody gets alerted, but it's not really all done on your phone, and to bring that into the next generation, the complete monitoring of the system on the phone that anyone can look at, building owners, the integrators. That's a fantastic idea.
Fire.
I'm so glad that you guys invited us here. This is great.
Well, I tell people, we do this all the time. We get doctors who they come back every week to talk to other doctors on our panels, and we solve. I'm not going to say we solve the world's problems, but we're not here to complain or anything. But we make a lot of connections too. But one of the, that kind of system is good, because to be able to keep up with it, one of the things that I had created with my patent was the ability to take any building plan, right? Any of your construction building plans, and the fire department can pull it up, and immediately our testing system goes into that building plan, and we will know exactly where a fire off man is in the building anywhere, just based off of the current plans that we get from City Hall. So there are things like that where you can integrate it and use it between other departments, right? Like he said, the fire department can have access to it, the building commissioners. But something else I want to share with you, one of the things I learned in developing the first fiber networks is if you start setting some of the standards that nobody's ever heard of, then you own them. Like, people have to follow you, right? And that's what you want, because now they have to catch up to you. And it's better to be defining these standards than it is to have to follow them. So, you're in a good position. Real quick, how much can you manufacture at a time?
We can probably put out at this moment roughly 100,000 feet in a month. Well, it might take a month to actually produce it, but there's materials that raw materials that we have to procure, and the lead time, if we had to start from today, would probably be 6 to 8 weeks. But once we're up and running and have all the raw materials in-house, it's probably about 4 weeks for 100,000 feet or so.
Is that just one manufacturing facility? Where is that located?
Yes. It's on the East Coast. There's kind of two manufacturing facilities, because it's a two-step process as far as building this cable, injecting the materials that fireproof it, injecting the materials that keep it plenum rated. So it's a two-step process now, and it was very difficult cable to make. So it's not difficult, not only difficult to engineer, but it's not that easy to make as well, manufacture.
No, I gather that I worked with a company many years ago as a consultant called ETR, and they did a lot of different things for the telecom industry. One of them was putting connectors on the end of cables. They would get special orders of special links they needed, and it just made people's jobs easier. So it's mostly on the East Coast, you said?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we have two facilities. One facility that makes part of the cable, goes to the rest of the other facility, and then they finish it up.
But nothing's stopping you when you get more orders, opening up more manufacturing facilities, correct?
No.
Or maybe taking this to other countries and training them how to do this and manufacture in their own country. To own the manufacturing facilities there. This is a great opportunity. I'm excited. I'm so glad that we finally get to meet. Wow, thank you, Scott.
I'd like to say a couple of things about. I'm really proud of what you guys are doing. because I think it's meeting a real need that's out there. And I wanted to shout out to cables in general, because when my wireless phone goes down, it's not because the sky went down. It's because some cable is not working. And also,
Absolutely.
I wanted to say that while you were getting your certification, you guys not only innovating in the cable market, but you're also innovating in testing, because you had to go out and innovate to get yourself certified. So I just have to tip my hat to you guys. You're doing a great job. You're really,
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Total.
Quick question.
Go
Are
ahead.
you guys doing anything with cruise ships? Cruise boats.
I would assume that the cruise ships would have individually their own AHJ, but from what I understand about cruise ships, they are not typically incorporated in America. And I think that's part of the process for why when you get on a cruise ship, you have to go out to international waters, touch down in a different country.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what their AHJ regulations are for each individual cruise ship. If it were a cruise ship that was docked permanently in, say, San Francisco Harbor, they would definitely be required to have one of these systems, because it is of the size that would be required for a structure and requiring the communication for life-saving.
Yep.
Well, and also, I hope that next time you guys come on, that you can bring Will with you, because I love to meet a person named Will Rogers.
I know 2 Will Rogers.
Yeah,
Wow.
good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're both younger than me, so they don't really, they say danger, Will Rogers, danger. They just don't get it.
Don't get it?
Go watch some real TV back from the
That's Danger
70s.
Will Robinson.
Tell me about it.
Before we
Will
sign
is
up,
my hero.
I would like to know what's your tagline for American Firewire.
American Firewire.
American Firewire.
What's the tagline?
Do you have a
Do you have any-
tagline, a spinoff?
Protecting the America's first responders.
Yes, I love it. Protecting the America's first responders. That's beautiful. That's
Maybe you can have one more tagline which says "Wiring the world."
What's
Yes.
Say that again, man, kid.
Because I, as an entrepreneur, I think about it as a global citizen, and it should not be for a particular country, but maybe for the world, and that should what I always focus on, and that should be the tagline for you: wiring the world.
Yeah. So Ankit this is what I love working with him and the board. This global board has been together for a long time now, because before we started IBMTV itself, and it's all about the global answers and solutions. You know, not what we can do just in the United States, but how can we share this? And this has been a wonderful journey working with Ankit, because he comes up with all these great ideas, and Willie and Jim has just joined us. Actually, Jim is new, but I love his questions because he makes me realize so many people don't understand the bottom line of technology that we have to deploy. So, and that's what's healthy about this Wednesday is we talk a lot of technology on Wednesdays. So
Absolutely. Well, hey, we can't be happier that you invited us on this. I wasn't sure what to really expect, but this far exceeded any expectations that I had.
wow,
Wonderful
thank you.
conversation.
Thank you.
And
Spread the word.
I hope that I
Spread
think I have everyone's contact information.
Absolutely, you'll get it. Ankit will make sure you get it. I think that this is something that we could definitely make connections for you around the world, because this is a solution for the world. It's not just for the United States, and on a bigger scale. And there are some people I work with. Actually, I know of some firemen in the California area, and one of them is knows investors that might be interested in this kind of product. So we'll spread the word.
I appreciate that very much. And I'm glad our attorney, Scott, got in touch with you.
I know, right? Yeah. Scott, you just been promoted. Without a lot of great, but you know what? I'm going to tell you that Nick, who is our attorney, as well as our senior executive producer and founder of IBMTV, he will tell you that there are some places in this country that you can still get your law license without having a law degree. So yeah, so I might go get it. Just,
Yeah. From what I understand, you have to be sponsored by somebody who's bar accredited.
no, you just have to pass the test.
Oh wow, maybe I'll take it.
I think New York is still one of the states. South Carolina might still be too, because I remember somebody told me I should go down to South Carolina and get my my license to practice law, because they did at the time did not require a law degree. But eventually, all of the states started to adapt that stupid law. But Nick knows not stupid. It's just it prevents everybody from going to get a law degree, but or a law license. But anyway, I'm so glad that we made that connection, and because you kind of brought me back to my roots, which is telecom, and it's always fun to have that conversation for me. Nick knows how much I love that world, so maybe we can make some. I would love to introduce you to.
I've been directing backstage and heard the question.
I know.
So here's the answer, counselor. For Washington State, Vermont, California, and Virginia are the 4 states that allow this process. Wyoming, New York, Maine allow lawyers to practice without earning a JD degree, although they must have some law school experience.
Thank you.
It's right on Wikipedia. So the thing is, for those who are interested in challenging the bar, you go to Wyoming, New York, and Maine. And then if you look at the loophole, what you do is you get reciprocity if they allow reciprocity into other states. Not that I would look at loopholes and regulations, but hey, look, somebody has to do it.
So Nick, what do you think of FireWire? I mean, this is pretty cool product.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's a great idea, but I agree with Ankit. You got to go global. In other words, Vivian is waiting down behind the scene in Chengdu, China, and Chengdu is a city that we don't know much about, but it's a city in China that has 16 million people. Okay, so we're going to do a special on Chengdu, China. India has 1.3 billion people, and the United States of America has 300 million. But we don't know about all these other countries out there, right, mate?
Yeah.
And Australia has 24 million. And so the thing is, to go global with a product like that,
Sure.
I mean, you can do it because it's international. The only thing I see, I was like checking the pricing models, and I know a lot of business owners are cheap. So if they're a Starbucks, they go, well, I don't care if it burns down and they don't get the wire. Seriously, I wouldn't care. But if you're a Cisco Systems or a Delta Airlines
data center,
okay, or you, in the industry I'm in, running an actuarial firm all over the country, yeah, we do care because that destroys our business. So certain companies have to have it, but others don't. Okay.
Nick, I'll tell you, I have an interesting scenario happening where the exact same thing that you're describing happened, where the building said, this is something that we're never going to use. It's only used by police and fire, SWAT, all those guys. And they tried to skate around it during the building phase. The fire marshal has since come in, put a lock on the front door and said, anybody that tries to enter this premise prior to getting this system installed will be arrested. So
that depends what country you're in. Okay, the fire marshal in Nigeria may not give a rat's rear. You see what I mean?
No.
Okay, but Cisco Systems in Nigeria does care. So it really depends on what country you're in and what business they're in that makes a difference. Like I said, some of the companies here in North Carolina, SAS Systems, SAS can't afford to go down. Okay, I mean, for 2 hours, it would kill their whole business. But then if they're at Starbucks down the streets, what do they care? But the U.S. may have regulations. You go to India, they may go, hey, Starbucks in India, if it burns up, because the pricing model 150, 55, and 500, you're talking about big spreads.
But Philadelphia goes down.
I think it's time to
wrap up. Yeah, we can talk about the pricing model later.
But what I want to mention to these guys is you can change those things. But what's great about IBMTV is we have viewers all over the world.
Right.
So we're not just here. So what we're sharing goes all over the world. China is come on board, and we are sharing all of this great. Hey, you guys need to try this as well. We're not giving them our technology; they have to buy it, and. And that's what I stand on my ground. We can share this technology.
And China is up now. We're going into Chengdu.
Everyone, meet Vivian from.
Okay, Vivian from Chengdu, China.
Bye.
Okay. Vivian, we're looking forward to your special on Chengdu. Vivian, can you hear us?
Vivian.
Oh, better get this mic working. See, this is the problem with technology. It's got to work.
Can you hear us now?
Vivian, can you hear us?
IBM TV's
it is technology.
intern, and she's been working. She helps us communicate and get our information into China, as well as open doors around the world with us. And she's doing a special on her part of the country, because Nick has never heard of the country, right?
Well, one of the problems you have in media is actually getting through some of their firewalls into their countries. So like in StreamYard, Alexander Starr's backstage, but he's from Russia. And we bring a lot of Russian people into our programming, but they have to fill out all this paperwork before they can actually listen to our show. So as you go to different countries, there's different protocols to get in. And the paperwork is like this thick just to get on StreamYard. So, Vivian, can you hear us?
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Oh, great. Okay. So, are you ready for your special on Chengdu?
Yeah.
It's a little small town in China.
Yeah.
It's a little small town in China, isn't it? How big a town is it? I heard it was a very small town. Is that right?
A tiny little town, Chengdu, right?
Not really. Well, compared to the big, area of China, but actually Chengdu is big.
Oh, how many people live there?
16 million.
16 million?
Yeah.
Oh,
16
that's a lot.
Million.
Lots of
Okay.
buildings.
Bigger than Las Vegas and Los Angeles combined.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, there's a lot of buildings there too. Do you have a picture of the skyline? Or is there a way you can show the skyline of Chengdu? Vivian.
And we're going to give Vivian the stage to give her
presentation.
Her presentation.
Yep.
I'm going to
I have my PowerPoint, so I'm gonna,
Okay. All right. Yeah. If you could just share your PowerPoint, that'd be good.
Okay. So first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Vivian Liu, and today I'm gonna talk about my hometown Chengdu to all of you. You may not hear about Chengdu before, but don't worry, I'm gonna introduce it step by step with my words, vivid pictures, and videos. Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen.
Vivian, you need to keep talking because that's how we work on IBM.
Can you see my screen now?
Let me check. Yeah, I can see your screen.
Can you see the PowerPoint? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can see you. So now you can open the tab what you want to show.
How about the PowerPoint? Can you see Chengdu City?
You need to change the tab now. You need to go on the tab which you want to showcase.
Okay.
On the top of the tab, yeah. Change the tab.
Okay, I'm gonna share it again. Sorry.
So share it with application window or a Chrome tab, and then select the browser tab which you want to share. Don't go to entire screen.
Okay. How about now? Can you see?
No, yeah.
Now you can see the PowerPoint, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for starters, Chengdu is the capital city of southern West China's Sichuan province with 16 million population. Chengdu's history dates back to at least the 4th century BC, when it served as a capital city for the Shu Kingdom. Artifacts from that dynasty are the focus of Jinsha Site Museum. The city is also home to the famous Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, as you can see from the picture. A conservation center where visitors can view endangered giant pandas in a natural habitat. Besides that, Chengdu is endowed with rich natural resources and enjoys pleasant temperature all year round. As it is free from flood, drought, and famine, Chengdu has been reputed as the land of abundance. According to the written history, the construction of Chengdu stayed as early as over 2,300 years ago. It is a city whose name has never been changed and which has never been relocated throughout the whole history. According to history, Chengdu was named because it grew into a settlement after 1 year's development, a county after 2 years' development, and a city after 3 years' development. The city has nourished splendid culture in its over 2,000 years development course. It has been a charming city. For instance, Chengdu is described by Li Bai. Li Bai is one of the celebrated poets in Tang Dynasty, known as Poets Immortal, as a pleasant city, which can be indicated from his line, Chengdu, a paradise-like and beautiful place, is home to thousands of households. Marco Polo once defined it as a prosperous city, which made people linger on with no thought of living. Chengdu is the city where the earliest currency jiaozi was issued. It is also the starting point of the Southern Silk Road, reaching out to the world through shoe brocade. Can you hear me, Anki?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
You can or can't?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'll continue. Today's Chengdu, apart from its unique historic and cultural charm, begins to project an air of magnificence as a major city in China. As you can see, the pictures that I show on my PowerPoint, it's pretty beautiful, right? Chengdu now serves as the economic center, the science and technology harbor, the international exchange center, the cultural innovation city, and the transportation hub of Western China. Key priorities given by the central government help Chengdu improve her overall quality in a stable and constant way. On top of that, the city of gastronomy, known for its tasty and spicy food, is attracting foodies from all over the world. Being the habitat of giant pandas proves its sound ecological environment. The economic growth pace of Chengdu is higher than national average by 1.4 percentage, making it the fourth pole of economic development in mainland China. Okay, this is the general introduction description of Chengdu, and later I want to specifically talk about Chengdu food, Chengdu city views, and cute giant pandas in Chengdu. Talking about food, just take a look at this picture. In 2010, Chengdu was named a UNESCO City of Gastronomy. It's not hard to see where there are restaurants and street vendors serving mouth-watering dishes and delicious snacks on pretty much every street. It is a place where food is taken seriously and well done. Chengdu food falls under the banner of Sichuan cuisine, which is one of the 8 regional cuisines of China. Below are some of the most popular dishes offering in Chengdu. Kung Pao chicken. I bet most of you must have heard of it. It's spicy chicken pieces stir-fried with peanuts and cubes of local lettuce. It's really, really delicious, and it's, combination of flavor of sweet and spicy flavor. And the right picture is called Ma Po tofu. It's also one of my favorite dishes. It's soft bean curd served with a spicy topping of minced beef in a bean-based sauce. Besides these 2 famous Sichuan dishes, dry fried green beans, boiled fish, twice cooked pork are also 3 popular Sichuan dishes. Okay, now take a look at this picture. The left one is Chengdu's own version of the famous hot pot. It's called Chuan Chuan. It's Chinese-style skewers. These kind of restaurants are all over the city and all work in pretty much the same way. First, you need to choose your skewers of raw ingredients from the large fridges at the back of the restaurant. Popular choices include quail eggs, shrimp dumplings, tofu, and assortment of different local mushrooms. Once you've made your selection, hand your tray to one of the waitresses who boil them in a spicy hot pot and take a seat. While you are waiting, you need to choose a dipping sauce to accompany your skewers when they arrive. The dry sauce, gandie. Gandie is the right picture, as you can see. It is a ground peanuts, chili powder, and cilantro, which is really excellent and tasty. There is a huge range of savory snacks on offer in Chengdu as well. The following are some of my favorites and also the famous dishes. The left one is called Hongyu Chao Shou. They are wontons. Wontons are dumplings of minced pork meat, served in a spicy, sweet sauce of chili oil, vinegar, and garlic. The right picture is called dandan noodles. It's served with a small portion of fried minced meat on top. These noodles most often come in a spicy sauce of chili oil and Sichuan pepper, which are really tasty. I highly recommend you guys to have a taste of them when you are in Chengdu. Talking about city views in Chengdu, as you can see, Chengdu night is a combination of ancient culture and modern life. I want to talk about Taikoo Li specifically. Sino Ocean Taikoo Li is a mixed-use development located in Jinjiang district of Chengdu, near the Chenxi Road shopping district. It is a large scale of development of over 2.86 million square feet and consists of an open-air name-driving mall, a boutique hotel, the Temple House with 100 guest rooms and 42 service apartments, and the Grand A office tower, Pinnacle One. The center opened in April 2015 and features a pedestrianized precinct built around 6 restored heritage buildings around the Daci Temple complex and Huguang Guild Hall. In keeping with Chengdu's heritage, the pedestrianized area contains both slow lanes for tea rooms, restaurants, and boutiques, as well as fast lanes, which contain major international brands such as Muji. Underneath the complex, where there are 1,000 parking spaces, direct metro access, as well as a cinema, a supermarket, and a 4,000 square meter Fangsuo bookstore. Following competition, the development was selected as a global winner in 2015 Urban Land Institute Global Awards for Excellent Competition. The shopping district brings together a range of top fashion and lifestyle brands such as Gucci, Cartier, Givenchy, IT, Michael Kors, and so on. The architectural design of Sino Ocean Taikoo Li pays homage to traditional Sichuan architecture with an innovative, modern approach. 6 traditional courtyards and buildings within the site have been preserved and revitalized. And the Daci Temple also contributes to the historical and cultural essence of the complex. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about pandas that everyone likes. The most common destination for visitors to Chengdu is without question the giant panda breeding center, home to 50 pandas, and the breeding center is located on the outskirts of Chengdu, about 40 minutes drive by car. Inside the breeding center, you'll find an entire complex which will explain everything about pandas. Not just the giant panda, but others like the red panda, which are also native to Sichuan. Red pandas are also cute, as you can see. The right picture is a small red panda. The base itself aims to create an approximation of pandas' wild living environment. Once the pandas are adjusted to living, the plan is to release them into the actual wild for the continuance and preservation of the endangered species. If you are expecting to spend about half a day at the breeding center, make sure you arrive as early as possible in the morning because famously lazy giant pandas spend most of the day sleeping or otherwise inactive. The exception of this shiftless way of life is when the pandas are fed early in the morning. During this time, they climb trees, splash in water, and sometimes put on a show for visitors. Quite cute. Um, Last but not least, besides all these touristic attractions as a citizen in Chengdu, I'm proud of my own dialect, Sichuanhua. Inside Sichuan province, all people speak Sichuanese. It is slightly different from Mandarin tones, vocabulary, and grammar. Chengdu is famous for its giant pandas, spicy hot pot, and so on for rap fans. However, the capital of southern West Sichuan province is becoming increasingly synonymous with Chinese trap music. The most well-known act from the scene is undoubtedly the Higher Brothers, the charismatic quartet, whose tongue-in-cheek lyrics and playful production style have made them mainland China's first hip-hop group to successfully cross over abroad. But the Higher Brothers are just one of the many exciting Chengdu hip-hop acts, united by their musical risk-taking and signature cool. The Chengdu Rap House, or CDC, is the scene's beating heart. Started in 2008 by a group of young rappers who would get together to hone their technique in freestyle battles. It's never been an actual place, although it's become strongly associated with several venues over the years. Okay, now I'm gonna share I'm gonna share one of the most famous Chinese trap songs from Higher Brothers, made in China, to all of you, so that you can have a hear of what it is about. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay. Is anyone still here?
Everyone is here listening.
Okay,
and,
okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
Beautiful city.
Everything. So it's beautiful, beautiful, spellbound.
Really? Thank you.
I just wanted to give you your limelight, your time, so that you could share this without any interruption.
Okay.
So,
okay. Now I'm gonna share the song that I talk about, the trap song, Sichuanese trap song,
okay.
so that you can hear. It's pretty good. I love it. Can you hear? Can you hear the sound?
There is no sound. There is no sound. Can you check the sound again?
No sound?
Check. There might be a muted on the browser somewhere.
Okay. Okay. I forgot. Just give me a minute, okay?
Sure. Take your time.
Sorry for
So, Nick, are you planning to go to Chengdu now?
You are planning to go to Chengdu now?
Everyone is planning to go to Chengdu.
Wow. Welcome to Chengdu anytime.
We'll plan a big road trip, and we'll get a lot of people to go, right? Yeah.
Nick, you need to unmute.
Here, can I do it for you?
I unmuted. Anyway, the thing is, I was fascinated with the food that they have there. I was going, well, I can go watch the pandas, but boy, I love to eat that Chinese food if I can get a hold of that. You
should go. It's so good.
So that'll be a great trip. And the thing is, the panda bears will just be icing on the cake. But I mean, the food.
Not bears.
Really good.
They're not
giant pandas, right? They're giant pandas, right? I think what you have to do is you got to press that. There's a little button on StreamYard on audio. You got to press that before you go in.
Can you hear now?
Well, yeah, we can hear you, but the thing is whether or not we can hear the video. There's like a little. Now you can hear it.
Okay, good.
There you go.
It's a Sichuanese. It's not Mandarin in it. Oh, what happened? It's not Mandarin.
Go watch Made in China. We play ping pong ball Made in China. Get bitch mad at said pay made in China. It had brother black car made in China. She said that she didn't love me. She said that she didn't love me. She said that she didn't love me. She lied, she lied. She all made it in China. She all made it in China. She all made it in China. She lied, she lied. 老总把你叫醒 ，Made in China， 牙膏牙刷上面挤 ，Made in China， 爆早餐放进陶瓷碗 ，Made in China， 他唇膏出门打起伞 ，Made in China， 坐在公司里，学着办公椅，360度，速食雷尼机，钢笔画了一朵莲花 ，Cookie 需要放在夜吧，相框里面空出全家，全部 Made in China， 全身上下总有中国货，压力上来也有中文课。Chinese 入侵 local 口音，野火燎原淋上酒精。Made in China 的怪罪 ，Made in China 被挑衅 ，Made in China 的我，老百姓用的开心 ，Made in China 的 no，Made in China 的 trap，Made in China 的 higher，Made in China 的 swag。Hello 和观众 say hello， 戴起拳头的我不会退后。训练让我掌握节奏，几分钟内裁判宣布 KO。Tell me I'm a cool， 音乐节舞台的正对面 ，Made in China 预演版的歌手兑现。大今天醒来，我充满了力量和高昂的斗志走进录音棚，肩膀上扛下的责任正向国家对应的尊重，用跳水游泳。现实让我不断吸取教训，才会不断出现重复做我的梦。跨越了障碍，那是我的工作，别再抱怨起冒险有所不同。My chance to go watch Made in China， we play ping pong ball Made in China， get bitch mad at said pay Made in China， it had brother black car Made in China。 She said that she didn't love me， she said that she didn't love me， she said that she didn't love me， she lied， she lied， she all made it in China， she all made it in China， she all made it in China， she lied， she lied。
I got a bitch up in China. I like the fuck up vagina. I get that money, no mind. Don't go buy diamonds, I swear they might blind you. I got a bitch, I signed her. I got a bitch, I signed her. Like, that bitch, you remind her. I get the money like diamonds. Bitch, I'm in Soho. I fuck on two bitches, I think it's a hoe. Little boy, you so. I'm whipping that Mazzy, I got her from Tokyo. These bitches falling everywhere I go. I get that money everywhere I go. Wait, they calling me Dexter. Two bitches falling like that.
She lied, she lied, that's to the EY.
Just now was the effect of the ending.
所以不会感到奇怪，12年的时候叫我起来，别再画龙点睛，我们那么年轻，不是火山炼金，也不可能变形。桌子上面放的麻将，一瓶老干妈的辣酱，外地人会受不了的辣。嘴巴开始发烫，咋个样？麻了它，回到属于我的 Chinatown。狮子手，我狮子头，点燃后面现在是时候，无法预料被我吓一跳。一直围绕这个话题绕，海尔疯癫调查到弄得到，你们家的东西全都是中国造。阴阳风水 Made in China， 从太极2个亿到8个省 Made in China， 万里长城 Made in China， 从秦始皇陵到紫禁城 Made in China。You don't ready know me， 我的世界休息，藏在我的手里，也在我的手里。兄弟，我欢迎你来了这5000年历史中创造最神奇的国度里。Made in China人征服你，路线在 nobody save me。My chance to go watch Made in China， we play ping pong ball Made in China， get bitch mad at said pay Made in China， it had brother black car Made in China。 She said that she didn't love me， she said that she didn't love me， she said that she didn't love me， she lied， she lied， she all made it in China， she all made it in China， she all made it in China， she lied， she lied。
Hello, Aston Martin. We just
Okay, so that's it. Do you like the song?
Yeah, no, I thought it was very unique. I mean, I've never seen that type of sound. I didn't know there was Chinese hip hop rap.
That like a
Yeah,
I
it's pretty popular in US as well.
Hey, Rosie's made in China. Our Rosie on Sunday morning. Is it
Rosie's in South Africa, isn't she?
Rosie was made in China. She's
Rosie was made in China. I didn't know that.
She tells us that every week. She tells us her label is made in China.
Well,
and China's beautiful. It's beautiful.
We should hook them up with the Alexander May's Musical Cafe to bring in the Chinese hip hop rap.
That would be fun.
That would be pretty good.
Do you get homesick, Vivian?
Yeah, kind of.
Yes.
She gets homesick for the good food they have there.
Yeah, especially in the morning right now. It's 10. It's like 9:30. When I'm doing the field attention, looking at the delicious food, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it looks like it's a great city, great place to go visit. It's been around for a long time. Marco Polo apparently visited it. But the United States, they don't hear too much about Chengdu. So we want to make sure that people on IBMTV know
Did
about
you see some of that architecture? Oh my gosh, that was just so beautiful. Some of the buildings and architecture that they invest in. And, we just spoke with somebody who develops fire standard wires that can go into buildings, that if the building caught on fire, the wire doesn't burn for 2 hours. So that could be something that we can introduce to China and try to sell. But what a lovely story. What a lovely story. That was fun.
Yeah, and they probably have buildings.
Another one. That was fun.
Yeah, the buildings, some of them that probably date to, the turn of 2 millennium ago, plus then they have modern buildings at the same time. And all that's very interesting, but I love the food. So the thing is, well, it's very interesting, but I'm going to the restaurant.
There's more to China than just Shabu, so maybe Vivian can do a segment every week on different cities in China and what they do, different, and maybe even bring people in to interview them to talk about maybe, I don't know, how the government works. Maybe she can interview somebody and to explain to us how the government works, how to do business in China. Maybe she can bring in people, an ambassador. But maybe every week, Vivian, you could do a segment just like this about different places
on a different city.
And how we can travel there, what it takes to travel there. Get your passport together. Do you have to have shots?
Oh, you have to have a visa.
A visa. If you want to work there, if you want to go to school there. So maybe Vivian can help us build that bridge and understand. Sure. Yeah. So that was beautiful, Vivian. So every week, Vivian's going to have a session, a segment of different things we can do with China. So this is great.
Wow, great. I love to introduce, China to all of you.
Yes.
And that could be travel China with Vivian.
Yeah, travel China with Vivian.
Travel to China with Vivian and do business in China with Vivian. So we can kind of help incorporate people if they want to come do business in China. That would be good. And we'll bring Rosie to meet you, because I think Rosie would love to be on your show, seeing how she was made in China.
Yep.
So
you're going to have to pick the cities, because we don't even know what they are. So
okay, I can just pick. Cities.
Travel to China with Vivian.
Yeah, right. That was perfect. That's exactly what we want.
Okay.
And if we can do some more cities in China, that would be great. Yeah. I know they have 100 of them that have more than 1 million people.
Yeah.
So you have plenty of cities to choose from, but you're going to have to be our travel guide, because we really just
and get an ambassador. Get an ambassador to come and do an interview, a short interview with the ambassador. We'll let you run the show, but I think that you can really bring on some important value to China in connecting the worlds.
Right.
So
yes.
And then what is the landmark or iconic landmark of Chengdu?
What do you mean?
Iconic landmark in Chengdu.
Is there an iconic landmark, something that makes Chengdu famous?
Is this what about this banner? Is this one of the?
There is a tower which is famous in Chengdu. As the picture showing, I'm sure
that's very
great. The picture was really tall tower.
Yeah, but I think Chengdu most famous are food and pandas.
More than just pandas.
The two things. Yeah.
Food, fun music. I love the fact that you played a little bit of historical stuff, but then you brought us into today with that really fun music. I really like that. So, maybe we can get some musicians from China. Maybe that's something else you can do, is bring some live musicians from China on our Sunday show. So you can encourage people to be on your show, and then maybe play live music on Sunday, right?
Yeah. If you can bring some musicians on that do that Chinese rap, hip hop, that would be perfect.
Wow.
That was a great.
I would like to hear just traditional music too, the old traditional music as well as the hip hop and what's current. So very fun. I'm excited. I want to get my passport and start.
You're going to need a visa also. Usually,
I think we're banned from traveling to other countries. Nobody wants.
Yeah, but it'll change. The thing is, right now it's a problematic, but it's going to change.
Vivian, do you know who Huawei is?
Huawei.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so what I might do if you get this show going, I'll talk to them to see if they'll sponsor you. I know the one of the vice presidents there, and I'll see if they help sponsor your show. If would that be okay with you?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. I mean, I just don't want to cross things that might hurt you. I don't want to hurt you, but they might be willing to sponsor and pay for your show, and help cover costs and expenses and things like that. So.
Wow, that's great. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I just happen to know one of the vice presidents. That's it. He might not be able to do anything. He might be able to say, "I can't do that." So
you can always talk to him, see what happens.
Always ask. But I wanted to make sure Vivian was okay with it because I don't know crossing borders. What people can and cannot do. So
you need an airplane, a passport, a visa, and money, and then you can cross all the borders.
And look who
Yeah.
my friend. Hi.
How are you guys?
How are you doing?
Good.
And you need money, and Ketul processes money worldwide.
There you go. Okay, so with Ketul, what you need is these credit cards, and he processes them, and you can go anywhere, right?
So he processes money electronically worldwide, so that because
that's Delta card, Sky Miles, and you're good.
Sky Miles. Yep. So that is what, on Nick's point, right? Buy the plane ticket, have some money, and they can help you travel anywhere. So what we do is
get this
money from the card.
Delta American Express. You can go anywhere. There you go.
Exactly.
You go anywhere. So, Ketul, have you ever been to Chengdu?
What's in your wallet, right, Nick?
A lot of cards are, and everybody else. But anyway, Ketul, have you ever been to Chengdu or China?
No, I haven't.
No.
That was actually the plan for this year.
Yeah.
Go and talk to the team that I'm working with, but then the whole COVID situation, stopped everything. So until further notice, we're not gonna move towards any other country, but let's see. Hopefully for 2021, once all the travel restrictions removed, and then we can travel back. I was actually just talking right before this call. I have to go to Ecuador to talk to one of the company there, but the whole situation is, so I told them that, hey, let's wait until everything's sorted out. Otherwise we can daily meet on Zoom or Skype or whatever the source.
I have family in Ecuador, and somebody went over there during the COVID situation, and they're doing fine. They said that Ecuador seemed to have a little bit of.
They're doing fine, but they don't want Americans to come over. Like the European Union banned us because we all have corona.
There were a few people who got stuck over there. Yeah. They're like, we would rather stay in Ecuador than come to America.
Yeah. Well, Vivian can't go back to China.
They have no money. They had no money, no resources for money, and this is what they said: I don't want to go to America because it's not going to be good.
This is like a life circle. Like few months ago, we banned people to come to United States from outside. Now they are banning us.
They say no, you can't. You can't go if you're from America. I thought it was pretty funny. But, things will change. So we're looking for things to change.
Remind me where you're at right now. Where are you at? Where are you?
Me?
Yeah, where are you at right now?
Maryland.
Maryland.
I live, close to Baltimore.
Maryland, Nick, about how I could get my law license right there. So I think Maryland.
Our governor is pretty helpful, Larry Hogan. So
Larry,
can help you. Yeah.
So, but anyway, lots of good things. We have Lynn Shepherd with the Family Dollar Store. They're donating 100% of whatever people purchase between now and August.
Right.
100% goes to our Money Masters financial literacy programming, which we've been doing a really good job of, because some of our programs on Economic Monday, which has been very, very educational, have now spun off and they're doing their own, training courses on how to invest your money. And all of this is free. You don't have to pay an upcharge to go to another class. You can, dial in and participate, ask questions and get answers. So it's like going to a real class and you didn't have to pay for it. And these are from experienced investors and experienced traders who are offering their time and skills for how to better invest your money. But you can't invest money if you don't save money. And the best way to save money is how you manage it. It's not about what you earn. It's about what? Spending and how you manage it.
Saving.
Investing.
Paying taxes.
Right? Nobody teaches that. And all of the financial literacy 5 points, I changed this one. I made it taxes because I felt like it was more important than anything else. And then there's paying forward charitable contributions. And that's what, and so any purchases you make at the dollar store, and this month, if you register, you get a $5 bonus cash. If you contact me, I'll give you some more cash points to spend. And if you spend $25 worth of shopping, you get free shipping. You save your time, which is money, most valuable money. You save your gas for not going to the brick and mortar. You might have to go to the brick and mortar to get ice cream because they got really good ice cream, but and they can't ship it. But
and Snickers.
4,300 items. And one of the things I like about the online stores is they'll address the current needs. So recently, our needs became masks. Right? There's just not enough masks out there. They're very, very expensive. Almost $1 per one in a little pack at the store, and you can buy a box of 50 for $25. Then it's shipped for free because it's $25. But the box that they sell at the Family Dollar store is the same box my doctors use when checking in to the doctor's office visits, which I got to go to today. I have to wear a mask. It has to be a certified mask before I even come to the store. I mean, a doctor's office. I have to make sure I have sanitizer, and they've got sanitizer there too. But if you look, I mean, there they are, nice big box. It's cheaper than most wholesale prices. It's definitely going to be a lot less than what you can pay for at the stores. It is the certifiable kind. You want the kind that has blue on one side and white on the other. And if you watch our shows with our doctors, it will explain what the two sides mean. And it's very important to understand them. You want to wear it blue side out to protect others from you if you are contagious. So that's the way you're supposed to properly wear it. But the other thing that the Family Dollar store has is great and wonderful products that you can purchase and save money, such as my makeup type products or my facial care. They have a mask there that I pay $25 for over the makeup counter. It's $4 here. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. And the other great thing they have is fun products. They have plenty of kids' toys, baby products, all name brand. There's my collagen masks. Right. Okay. These things, they're really nice. You put them on your face chilled. A lot of people don't know to do that, but I've got great makeup artists that give me great tips. And you do this, once a week. It's great. It would refresh your skin with collagen. I wish I could do it every day, but it's a 20-minute process. But it really works. People might doubt a lot of these things, but I truly believe in these things. But it was $25 over the counter. I get it for $2. And free shipping if I buy $25 worth of stuff. They have Minion napkins, which we all know I love, and I got everybody here buying now. So all of our TV show hosts are buying them, and Oh, and there's another makeup product, Genesis, the line remover. Let's see if I can pull that up. It's usually $60 online. At other online shopping places, you'll pay $60 for this. It's the same product, same size, same packaging. $60 in other places, you're going to pay, close to $5 for it here. So I highly recommend, if you're going to do this, do it here, because you're not just saving money, you're donating money towards a good cause, and you're going to earn buying points every time you buy something. I can't say many thanks to the Dollar Store for sponsoring us. We're going to be celebrating this weekend oops, I misspelled it. The 4th of July here in the United States. I'm convincing everybody to get their Minion napkins and something silly and goofy going on so that we can celebrate this. And I don't know, Lynn, do you have anything else you would like to share real quick?
No, the only thing I would say is, I don't know, a lot of people know this, but actually July 2nd is the day that the independence was approved, not July 4th. And the reason why we celebrate July 4th is they didn't actually finish the document until the 4th, and then it was never signed until August 2nd. So, which is interesting.
That's not in my history book. I'm going to have to see. I got my little history book that I keep that tells me all these great, wonderful things. I'll have to write that in there. I had no idea. I just always figured, we celebrate the 4th on the 5th, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So, Lynn, for you, I can celebrate my July 2nd, and you will see my token on your system soon.
Good.
Right.
Good.
Ketul, you need to shop at the Dollar Store for some of you. They got soaps, deodorants, toothbrush, toothpaste.
Yeah, actually, Lynn mentioned last session, but I literally had a lot of things going on, busy with work and stuff. But I'll definitely do that today, and that's why before the call, I sent out an email to Lynn to connect with about the payment.
Absolutely, but get started shopping, because once you get started shopping, right, you can hit that rebuy button. So kind of like if you need soap, keep rebuying soap and things like that. So
and by showing the way you show all the the beauty products, my wife will be happy to shop all this.
Well, okay, so you have to understand, I unfortunately have to spend a lot of money on maintenance, especially when I started the TV show with Nick. I had no idea the difference it made being on TV, but Nick will even tell you, wow, the difference is huge from my first time ever on TV to when I started doing maintenance. And then when you start feeling better, you start doing more things that make you feel better. So huge difference. But those collagen masks, I forgot how good they feel until I put them on, right? And then I go, I wish I could do this every day. They're 20-minute process, plus all the cleansing you do before you put them on. So I can't be that luxurious of a life. But,
no, definitely. It looks really good. I'm very premature in terms of all this beauty products brands, but I'll definitely let my wife go through and shop
they've got this product for moisturizing your feet, because your feet take a beating and we don't treat them nice enough. Well, not being able to go get a pedicure every so often has hurt my feet. I haven't taken care of them like I should. And I'm going to order that just to see if I can help make my feet feel better. So they've got 4,300 items. And this is what I tell people. The baby products are all name brands. So if you've got a baby shower or know somebody you're having a baby and you can't go visit them, just deliver them a box of $25 worth of items and a gift certificate so that they can shop. I've got a birthday party to go to. My little niece is 5 years old today. And they're doing drive-by birthday, right? But I'm going to let her dial into the Dollar Store and pick items she wants from the Dollar Store. I'm going to set her up a little account, right? So that she can learn how to spend and how to pay. Make sure you save money for taxes. So I'm going to set her up an account so that she can shop. So
yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're going to do the tokenizing with Ketul, right? So isn't this great how we've connected here? We're all going to go to Shabu, China, and we got Willie here, who's got plenty of startups that could use the electronic pay system. That's one of the things. I want you to realize on Wednesdays there's a lot of startups, and startups need a means to receive payment that is easy,
Exactly.
that meets the PCI compliances.
Yep.
And Ketul's company does this, and I want to let Ketul speak a little bit about what he has.
Yeah. So just like that's why I perfectly fit here in this conversation, because it's mainly about the startups, and they all are worried about a lot of other things than actually providing goods and services, right? About the payments and about like the locations, about this warehouse storage, e-coms. So many things are in place, so that's why for payments that we can help with anything, in terms of uh, providing domestically or globally, the way how your business is set up or the needs, we can take care of all the payment part. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, and on IBM TV also has my information. So definitely reach out to me. And yeah, and Ankit, any questions you have about this
Yeah. So
for me?
so today we are discussing about long weekend, and you know that with long weekend, a lot of shopping comes in, and people do shop a lot. So, what are the difficulties a payment industry faces during the long weekend? Do you have any payment jamming kind of a thing where something because there's a lot of payment going around everywhere and there? So, is it a possibility where some payment got jammed, or it's still in the process for a long period of time? And
Yeah.
thirdly, how big is the long weekend for payment industry?
So, normally how the industries are, right? All the long weekends are pretty busy for everyone, like restaurants, hotel industries, online, e-com businesses, and all. But especially this time, not everyone is like fully prepared in terms of like taking the online payments. So especially I got like a lot of calls from different restaurants, like they especially like now, like the dine-in is not a good option right now, and they have very limited settings and all, so they are like reaching out to us regards to have the pay by link, or like somewhere like they take the payments online, and uh, curbside pickup and stuff that are like very popular right now. So a lot of people reach out to me in terms of like providing solutions on their e-com. So e-com is like pretty hot topic right now, and that is what they reach out to us. Hotel industries are like slowly open down, but they don't see that much traffic, as like people are trying to avoid traveling or staying at the hotel at this point. But the restaurants and retails are basically trying to open up their stores, and they wanted to have like a lot of contactless devices in on premises, so they can take the payments without touching anything. So contactless and e-coms are like very popular, and a lot of people are reaching out to us. And as I said, like they are not very well prepared with the system, so it's been a challenge for them on this 4th July in terms of the business. you know
Okay,
uh,
wonderful.
but we are helping them in order to provide as much as quick solutions, and so they can able to take the payments. Currently, like they have already system set up for majority of the locations where they take the contactless payment, but still, as I said, like it's a very uh, uh, concerning point at this time, because everyone's gonna go out shopping. People gonna buy a lot of stuff on online also during this weekend. So it's been a challenge for everyone to, for transaction wise, as a payment providers, like we don't see, because our system is very well capable of handling that many transactions. So on our side is not an issue, but front end is like a big issue for them. So hopefully, like we can see move forward. That's why I said, like before this call, I was talking to few customers overseas, and they also wanted to uh, have this solution as soon as possible, so their customers like pay through their phone and not with the plastics or anything. So it's been a topic that I have been talking since last couple of weeks. So yeah, a lot
Because
of
something
innovations are happening also.
yeah, because payment is something which is very close to everyone's heart, and everyone would like to understand how the payment works and how they can make more money and how they
Yeah.
can make the money secure and safe. And that's how Ketul joins as an expert to make sure that the payments and everything is safe, and make sure you do more transactions. Then only you'll get more business.
Yeah. So I'll give you the example. Just right before the call, I was talking to one of the company in Ecuador who does like point of sale system, like selling the POS system, and they said like, hey, I wanted to add a e-com option right now on my all the POS. Like there are like 60,000 POSs, so you can take the payments online. And I was like, we definitely do that, but it's not gonna be like solution for this weekend, as like there's no way like we can deliver this like within like couple of days. But something like this, like there are like a lot of customers reach out to us, and which is like interesting now. The entire trend is like changing towards online and e-com and the mobile payments, and it's gonna be a next next decade that we're gonna see all this.
So Ketul, everyone knows about e-commerce and how the payment works in e-commerce. What about m-commerce?
What about what?
And what about m-commerce? And do you see a change in transaction in m-commerce as compared to e-commerce?
What is the m-commerce mean?
Mobile commerce.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
So
Because
mobile
why I'm
commerce.
asking you this question, because
Why is there a
nowadays a lot of
difference?
companies. So difference is that there are a lot of companies, they don't have a website, they operate from mobile phones.
Oh,
So they only have a
mobile
app.
payments.
They
Okay.
don't have a web page. They don't have anything on web. Basically, everything is on mobile,
Just
and that's how
mobile.
they wanted to do this. Yeah. Because if you talk about mobile, the payment process is a little different from what you have in web. So just wanted to understand with Ketul how it works in the back end.
Yeah, so as I said, right, if whoever doesn't have a website, right, we can help set it up within
They don't want to set up now. So the problem is that. So I'll give you some company's name. You heard about Myntra?
hmm yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
Myntra
I
closed
shopped
their,
online too on Myntra.
web operation for a while just to see how a mobile commerce works in India, because they wanted to engage audience who have an app installed. Because if you have an app installed, you can buy a cheaper product at cheaper price as compared to go and buy online. So they're just trying a
Yeah,
lot of experiments, and that's why we have a lot of companies who are only focusing on online business, only in mobile phone, not on the web.
yeah, no, definitely. So basically, we see as a same business model,
Okay.
like as an
Yeah.
e-com or as a mobile, because at the end you need a server who holds
Yeah.
holds like all that information. So either you can operate through mobile or either you can operate through website. At the end, the goal is like you have your product available on your mobile app, and then take a payments on your mobile app. So basically what I'm trying to say is like there are like a lot of customers here in the US who are like a mom and pop shop, and they don't have a e-com business, or they don't want to set up a website.
Yeah.
But what we do is like we give them a dummy website with some options available, right? So basically what they do is like on your mobile app you can reach out to their server where you
Yeah.
have some information, and then customers select the product and then they can buy. So so technically, like a business like Mantra, right, they have lots of products available on their
Yeah. Yeah.
server that you can buy. So how those servers are like capable of handling like in terms of like that many mobile platforms, right? That is what uh, we don't see as a difference as a payment partner. We don't see as a difference, because as I said, like my payment link to their mobile or my payment link on their e-com, basically it's all like a card not present transaction for us.
So Ketil, what I'm trying to say is that I mean, whatever you said, that's appreciable and acceptable, and I understand what you are trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a different experience of how you work on mobile. So suppose Kim is having a telecom company, okay, and they are using a mobile phone from Malaysia, and now I run a business in India with the name Myntra.com. So
Mhm.
we and Sharif have collaborated, and we wanted to install that pre-installed app of Myntra on Sharif's mobile phone using Kim's Telecom. So why we are doing it? Because all the transaction will go to a certain wallet, maybe a Samsung wallet or Apple Pay or whatever it is, to make more transaction. And then why I will coordinate with Sharif, because Sharif is selling maybe 1 billion mobile phones every year. So I don't have to go to market each and every company or maybe each and every country because Sharif is already marketing it. So I'm saving the marketing cost and making sure that all the transactions should go with one wallet. And if you do that, you'll get 10% additional discount. So there's a lot of these kind of compatibility and cross collaboration going on only in the mobile industry to make sure that the transaction happen with one queue and you can save a lot of money making sure that operations, because if you set up a lot of operations, you have a lot of people working for it. There's a lot of backend team. But if you do it with one company, it's easy and it's easy to manage it out basically. So that is what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, so like on the front end part, you can merge your business with his business, right? That's like the separate
Yeah.
entity in terms of
Yeah.
merging. On the payment part, right, you have to make sure that you're not forcing customer to use certain wallet, because the whole point is like in the US, like there's a few company who stop using the Apple wallet or the Apple Pay, because it's a little bit high transaction fee involved in there, and like some
Yeah.
customers are not okay with that. So what they are looking for, the other option, that instead of the Apple Pay, can I pay with my uh, like a separate wallet, which is like nothing related to Samsung Pay, Google Pay, Apple Pay, but like a separate wallet that holds on your app, right, which takes the payment. So that piece, if it's not there, we can help to create. So for example, let's say Sharif's app, right, have your business also on their app, like
Yeah.
your basically mantra stuff, but he wanted to promote certain wallet, let's say for example Samsung Pay, that he wanted to promote, but not all the customers are using a Samsung phone or Samsung Pay. So how he gonna do the business without having the Samsung phone? Then what we do is like we create a wallet on their app, which is very standard wallet, which takes all the payments. So if you don't have a Samsung phone, you don't worry about the Samsung Pay. If you don't have Apple phone, you don't worry about the Apple Pay. You can still put your card information on that wallet and we'll take the payments from there. So basically the piece is like, goes in any model, whatever you have, like on the front end, or the piece is like we can create customized, which is like completely standalone than the any other pay or wallet. So that definitely, like as I said, like we can help to set it up the way. That's why, like in terms of the business need, we have to understand like where that piece fit, that that's a separate. Like for example, like I use like Apple Pay a lot. I used to use, because it has a facial recognition and all the other part. So I used to have it. Then there are like a lot of other different apps which have their own wallet, right? So you can link the card, you can still pay through their own wallet, and
Yes.
that way, like it's still like you sometimes like you have to think about like how they are processing your payments. Like for example, I saw one of the cheapest wallet on one of their app. It's like there's no security. They didn't even ask you about the 3 digit the number that or back of your card or nothing. There's no other security. Like once you store your card is there, and all they do is like once you accept the payments, it's go through the payment. So what if like somebody else is accept on my behalf? It's still going to go through without
So
even
a lot
verifying
of
it.
people don't know in cyber world, the hackers have a thing called screen scrapers. They can do key logging. So once they get that 3 digit in one of those ways, if you're not doing two-fact authentication or three-fact authentication on a continuous basis, which is
Yep.
irritating, I hate them, but
Yep.
they're necessary. I mean, people don't understand a screen scraper hacker can get everything on you in seconds. And a keylogger, and a keylogger it doesn't even have to be on your screen. He will capture every key you take. If it's not encrypted, he will capture every keystroke you make, and he'll be able to take everything from you. So
Yep. Even on this point, I really like that you brought it up, Kimberly. On your iPhone, also if you know your password, right? And there is a separate settings. Type on Google, so you'll or YouTube, you can find the video. Have your voice recognition on iPhone can actually unlock your phone without even keystroke. There is a way to do that. So let's say, for example, if my phone is like locked, so you have to press right certain passwords, but there is a way you can create your voice recognition which will open your phone without even saying the number. You don't need to say that, oh, my password is 1234. You don't need to say, just say unlock my phone, and that will
That
basically,
voice.
the keystroke works
Mhm.
based on the settings, and it will
Right.
open it.
Voice
So they're
print
like,
is very important. That's,
yeah.
yeah. I like that.
So, and
Yeah.
not like, I'm telling you, I'm 100% sure 99% of people are not aware of this function
Yeah.
on your iPhone. So
You know,
there is
I'm not really
definitely.
played with it. I'm glad you brought it up. It's something I forgot about. I'm glad you brought it up. That's why I'm like, really? Because I just, there's so many things out there that I get caught up in some and just don't. But you're right. Face recognition scares me because there are a lot of people when my face is scanned that it's recognized as other people. So face recognition does bother me. I'm waiting for that suspense novel murder mystery where somebody gets killed and they scan their face to use their, I'm waiting for that one. I probably just wrote it, right? But nobody's done that in a suspense murder mystery yet. But that they can kill you and scan your face and use your identity. So I mean, there's so many things that you need to do. But what I like about Ketul is their company's on it. They are on top. That's why him bringing this up, I'm like, wow, I've forgotten about all of that. You're on it. You know what needs to be done, and you address it. We talk about it. And this is very, very important in this day and time. Very important. They can
Yep.
wipe you out. They can wipe out your bank account if you're not doing reconciliation of your bank account. I watched. I've seen them do this. They'll test your bank accounts. They'll only take out a penny at a time, and then they'll hit it hard. So they'll find out, is anyone monitoring us? Is anyone watching us? You would think they would go in and clean your account out immediately, but they don't. They sit and watch accounts, and then they hit you when your paychecks are big. They hit you
Yeah.
when they know our country well enough to know when we get our tax refunds. So they're waiting for big checks to come in, and that's what they do. But wow, I
And
like
that's why I always recommend all my, customers or viewers, whoever watch me, like, I recommend them to use credit cards always. Don't link your debit cards anywhere.
ever.
Always use credit card because, it's a third party card,
Mhm.
and third party is basically asking money on their behalf. So like, for example, if you're using Chase card, right, they are the responsible for whole transaction,
Yeah.
and they reach out to your bank for certain things. So let's say if something happened between, you can always stop your bank to give the payments to that, and that's the safest way. So all your money is sitting in some account is always safe. Don't link that, and especially in India, a lot of people are linking their debit card. So
I
that's a very high
Don't
risk.
Ketul,
ever
I think,
do debit. You
I think,
cannot recover debit card. You cannot. It's hard to recover. And majority of the deaths that occurred in robberies in the United States for several, I don't know if it still is reported this way, were they were taking people for their debit card, kidnapping them, and you getting the number and then killing them. So I quit. Somebody tried to mug me one time. I'm like, I have no debit cards. You can take my credit cards. I'm going to cancel them. I talked my way out of being mugged,
Yep.
basically. But the guy had a knife on me, and I'm like, I have no debit card. I literally, you're going to kill me for no good reason.
Yep.
You know?
That's
And
why I said, like, I use debit card in last 10 years only to take out money. Other than that, I don't really use debit card at all
no, and I
anywhere.
don't carry cash. Debit
Yep.
card is just like cash. And again, I think we need to take a look at that. And that's a good conversation to have on our next show. And kid, are we having to wrap up, or is
yeah, we have to wrap up. But before we wrap up, Ketul, I think we should also discuss next time that because a lot of people verify their debit card and credit card for some payments online, and that requires maybe charging $1, and then that's how they verify the account. So
Yeah, like
they
$1
have
or
important is
yeah.
that? How important is that, and also how we can get to know that how many accounts we have been verified, and is there any list which we can see and remove those accounts if we are not using those subscriptions? So I think we can discuss on that next week. It's time to wrap up today. So
Definitely,
if
yeah,
you want to-
definitely. Let's sync up, someday so we can talk about the next week's agenda, and then we'll definitely include.
Absolutely, and I want to cover
Thank you,
more
guys.
on this security
And
stuff.
thank you for joining us. And today we are wrapping this
Sign up
because
at Dollar Store.
we already have a show running, investment with Shah on the other.
Yeah, I gotta go to
channel.
Sasha.
So if anyone can watch that show, they can watch out that show on IBM.TV or watch us and follow us on YouTube. Thank you for joining
Thank you,
us. A
guys.
lovely Tuesday, and see you tomorrow on Thursday. Thank you, Sharif. You came
Thank
little
you.
late, but I'm sorry we have to go.
No problem. No problem. No problem. Thank you.
We'll get you tomorrow if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Kimberly. Thanks, Ankit.
Where's our ambassador?
Thank you, everyone.
कोरोना वायरस से कैसे बचेंगे? ओके, हैंड होकर और ऐसे अपने खांसी जब आएगी तो ऐसे करेंगे अच्छू अच्छू और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने